Is this the cold
Sweet.
open?
So I was going to do a topic about this,
Okay.
and then I decided it would just be fine to do in the opening of the show. Upcoming movies, specifically 2 that just, as of yesterday, there's a lot of interesting things happening
Okay.
that have me interested. So let me pull them up.
Dude, I'm still trying to get my mic to stand up.
It's okay, he'll figure it
Oh
out
my
eventually.
goodness.
Now, I told you guys, but it was... What's the problem? I can't... Oh,
You're just gonna have to lean, dog.
All right.
God damn. So yesterday, at the time of recording, I know this will be a couple weeks old by the time this comes out, it was announced that, where the fuck is the title? Superman Legacy, James Gunn's Superman Legacy has added Isabella Merced, Eddie Gathegi, and Nathan Fillion to the cast, and they are playing, respectively, Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific, and Guy Gardner, Green Lantern.
Who's Mr. Terrific?
Never
Mr.
heard of him.
Terrific he's not the most popular character, but he's
You can say that
Clearly.
again.
he's okay. He was in a really good Adam Strange comic by Mr. Tom King a little while ago. Then it was announced today that Anthony Kerrigan, the guy from Barry, has also been added to the cast as Metamorpho.
The guy from Barrie, Ontario?
No, from the show
the show Barry.
HBO's Barry. It's a show. It's like a show about a guy who's like a hitman and he becomes an actor to try to leave the hitman.
RRY, not RRIE.
Anyway, would you mind turning my shit up a little bit?
I would mind turning your shit up a little bit. Where are you?
So
hello,
are you
hello, hello.
Are you too?
Hello, hello. Oh, yeah, it's
There
nice.
we go.
So are you excited for this? Or what?
So here's the thing. So because there's
You
2
angry?
specific movies I wanted to get
How do you
into
feel?
that I'm excited while we do this quickly here. Because again, this didn't need to be a full topic. Here's the thing. I am incredibly excited for what James Gunn and Peter Safran hopefully have in store for the DC universe. I will admit, as cool as it is to see his appreciation for some of these like minor characters like Metamorpho. I mean, Hawkgirl is like well known and kind of beloved, and Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, has never been my favorite. Like, he's usually kind of more of like a douche. Like when they announced Nathan Fillion, I lost my shit because I thought they were finally making him Hal Jordan, because he's done the voice for Hal in some animated stuff before, and he's so good. And then it was like, oh, he's Guy Gardner. I'm like, I guess. I mean, it also makes sense because I guess Nathan Fillion's like slightly older now. So like, do you really want him as like your main Green Lantern? Who knows if they're going with Hal? Maybe they'll do John or fucking Kyle. But anyways,
Clearly they're doing Guy.
they're well for now. But there's gonna, like, they've already said they're doing a Green Lantern's like show.
Oh,
There's gonna be shows and movies and stuff.
Green Lantern is underrated, and they need to portray him well on the screen.
The show, I think, is they're
So
just
much
calling
potential.
it like Green Lanterns or whatever. So my assumption would be is that it's going to be like John, Hal, you assume Guy,
Kyle.
and maybe like Kyle and a couple other like thrown into the mix. But anyways, so as cool as it is to see all this, I will admit it is ever so slightly concerning, because it's like this is a lot of characters you're pumping into this Superman movie. So it's kind of like, sounds like a lot of spinning plates. It gives me Spider-Man 3 flashbacks.
Wait.
Did you not realize this was a Superman thing?
I thought Flash reset the universe.
It did.
So this is this is what they're going with for the reset?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is James Gunn's stuff.
James Gunn's Superman movie is going to be the first movie of like the new
So what's
canon.
going on?
Honestly,
oh my God, they're
so-
gonna bungle it.
No,
but
no,
this
no,
is
no.
the other thing, and this is
Bro,
another
James
worry of mine.
James Gunn to me is like one of the most trustworthy. Like I trust James Gunn.
Yes.
To me, it's like, even though you're talking about like all these characters being introduced, and it's like, is it going to be too much? Like, to me, it's like he's never made a bad superhero movie. He's done all the Guardians movies. He's done the Suicide Squad, and they're all fantastic. So to me,
Yes.
it's like, yeah, it's a little bit concerning, but I have all the faith in him that he's going to do a good movie.
Here's the thing. I get what you were about to say, Patrick, which this is something that I think. So here's the thing. I'm a little worried about them having this many characters again in a Superman movie, and there's still rumors that there's going to be more and whatever. I trust James Gunn enough to know that they can't do too much, and I think I was even reading something before we started recording where he was talking about and saying like, I know like it's going to be a Superman movie, Superman, Lois, whatever.
Don't fret.
They're the focus kind of thing. It's not about all these other people.
So
It's
they're just Easter eggs.
they're sort of there, maybe. But what's a little concerning to me, and what I think they need to prove, and I think what you were about to get angry at, is that it sounds like what they're trying to do with the DC stuff going forward is sort of a universe in progress.
That's exactly what it looks like. They're trying to make their universe, but they're trying to like they're just going so hard in the paint to start. Like, why not build it slowly?
Well, I'm sure maybe they're gonna do. Maybe these side characters aren't gonna they're not gonna be a big part of the universe, or B, they're gonna have their own solo movies or shows like you're talking about.
I mean, if they're Easter eggs, then maybe they'll.
So I get that too, because that was kind of the problem with
Justice League,
the DC stuff when they first started, where it's like you had Man of Steel, they did the whole origin, blah 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 blah.
I loved Man of Steel, by the way. Man of Steel is great.
I think Man of Steel is pretty good.
Good, yeah.
And then you get to Batman vs Superman, and it's like they kind of tried doing the Dark Knight Returns thing of like Batman's been around a while, like so he's existed seemingly in this universe. There is the dead Robin suit, like there's history to this, and it was like okay, cool, whatever. And then Wonder Woman shows up, and it's like okay, clearly they allude to like her being around. But then they did the thing where he gets like the nightmare vision thing, Batman. And like he's got the like video files where it's like there's the Flash video file and the Aquaman video
So they've
file,
all
the
existed.
Cyborg video file, and it's like okay, so they've all sort of existed, but we've never seen much of them, and then we kind of just jump right to Justice League sort of thing.
I forgot that was a movie.
I can't believe they did that.
Yeah.
I've never even seen Batman v Superman, but I know I've seen Justice League, not the Snyder Cut, but like I remember just watching Man of Steel, Wonder Woman, and then the next big DC movie I watched was Justice League, and I'm like, how is this?
Yeah.
Where are we going?
Wonder Woman was the only one they gave. Well, I mean, it was Superman, kind of Batman with Batman vs Superman, and then Wonder Woman were like the only three that had like some sort of establishment, and then it was like right.
You know what's frustrating too is that I loved Henry Cavill as Superman, and Gal Gadot was a great Wonder Woman. So like they had like a good start, but for some reason they just rushed
tension between.
Oh wow!
between
who?
between
Batman.
Between Batman and okay.
Them and then Batman in between.
Oh, okay. But so yeah, that was the thing where it's like they kind of tried to like rush to the like end of the finish line with Marvel as fast as possible, and it didn't work clearly, obviously. And the movies also, some of them are good, some of them aren't. It doesn't work. And I look at a movie, for example, like Birds of Prey. Which I don't know if you guys did. We see Birds of Prey together.
We saw it together. I mean, I saw it
We
with
did.
you. I remember. I watched
all the girls.
Yes,
I watched
Harley Quinn and
Black
we
Mask.
did.
That
was good.
That was a fun one.
Birds of Prey is legitimately like fun and like really good kind of thing. But even with Birds of Prey, it's like, okay, we already know Harley because we've had the first shitty Suicide Squad movie, and also Harley's like a big enough character that it's like everybody kind of gets the idea.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Please.
Can you believe that some people would think that the first Suicide Squad movie is better than the newer one?
Those people are
The
dumb,
Suicide Squad.
and they deserve capital punishment.
You're right. You beat me to the punch there.
But so it's like, okay, we get Harley, then it's like you're introducing a bad guy like Black Mask, sure, whatever, like all that makes sense to me. But then it's like in that movie, and even though I kind of like these iterations of these characters, it's like, and here's Black Canary, and here's Huntress, and here's Cassandra Cain, who is another Batgirl, and it's kind of like
it's like they want the reward before doing the work to build it.
Yes, and it's like, say what you will about the Marvel stuff, especially now where I know a lot of people are like, Marvel's fallen off and whatever. But it's like, they, to me, did the right thing of like, we've seen the universe basically from its sort of like inception with Iron Man to now, like the whole way through. And the only characters they've ever really introduced not in their own shit, like through other things, either got context filled in later on, or were given their own things afterwards. Like it's like Age of Ultron. We get Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. Quicksilver they get away with immediately, and then Scarlet Witch they keep around, and they just keep building her to the point we get to WandaVision and Doctor Strange.
It's like Spider-Man. Spider-Man and Civil War.
Exactly. It's Spider-Man and Civil War, where it's like, okay, there's this implied history when like Stark goes to him and is like showing him the clip of him in like the shitty homemade suit, like saving a bus or whatever. And it's like, okay, like Spider-Man, we can fill in the gaps.
And even with that, he wasn't a huge part of Civil War. Like he was like this Easter egg. Like
and then they built to it. And then you think of more prominent characters like Hawkeye and Black Widow, for example. And it's like Hawkeye they introduced. Just sort of, I mean, technically he shows up in the first fucking Thor movie, which is ridiculous when you think about it. But he shows up in that, then he's in Avengers, and then they just keep building and keep adding to him. He gets his own show, and it's like, all right, cool. And with Black Widow, even though I think it was like 2 years or whatever too late with that movie, but it's like she gets introduced to Iron Man 2, she's in all the other shit, and then if you want like bonus fill-in stuff for her, here's her movie. Even Captain Marvel's movie, it's like, yeah, she existed before all this, and here it is of her in the 90s.
They laid the groundwork, like you're saying. Like they didn't just like jump to like the money. Like, oh, this is the ultimate team up movie that we're just gonna jump to.
Yes.
They're like, we're gonna. even though it's like they were making money with Iron Man, it's not like they were like, you know, losing money necessarily, but
Yes.
but they did it properly, I guess.
So the thing is, they built a foundation, like they built a skeleton and then added the meat to it. Whereas the DC stuff with all the Zack Snyder stuff felt like Man of Steel should have been the beginning of a skeleton, but instead it was basically like right to Justice League. And I know they like currently they don't have a Justice League anything announced. Like there is no giant team up thing currently. Like we know we're getting the Superman movie, we know we're getting a Batman movie, and we know we're getting, I think, some team called the Authority, and then like a bunch of shows and like some other stuff. And it's like, okay, interesting. I guess my worry is just I'm worried they're going to try and do too much too fast again. However, if they can prove it, I'm not opposed to the idea of like a universe in progress.
No, it sounds like. Sorry, Mark looked like he wanted to jump in with something.
Well, no, I was just gonna say, like, to me, even just hearing Matty say like they're gonna do another a Batman movie, I'm like, I'm just done with like.
But it's Robert Pattinson, no?
No, it's not. They're
it's
doing
not Robert Pattinson.
That's what I'm saying, dude. They're making they're
There's
like
gonna be 2 Batman.
He's not a part of the universe. It's like it's their own thing. It's like an independent thing. And now with James Gunn's universe, he's gonna have his own Batman. And it's like, to me, Robert Pattinson was such a great new Batman, and the movie's incredible, and I can't wait for more of those movies because they're making a second one and apparently maybe a third. But to me, it's like I wish they would just stick with that. That's the official Batman in this. Like,
even if the plan was, okay, he's gonna be his own thing.
Yeah.
Why can't they just adapt and be like, this is an amazing character. People love this movie.
Honestly, part of me actually likes the fact that, now that I'm thinking about it, part of me likes the fact that he's a separate thing.
Because it can't be ruined.
Yes, that's the argument I was going to make.
We can't rope him into this universe that may or may not be good. It's like he's going to be like this like awesome maybe trilogy.
Like Pattinson's thing will always be its own thing in 10, 20 years if the DC stuff
Bale.
somehow takes off. In 30 years from now, when Robert Pattinson's been done doing Batman for 2 decades, they'll No Way Home him and like bring him in for just like a little cameo thing. Or whatever,
same with Christian Bale. It's like he's independent and he's like, you know.
Yeah, and it's like that's the thing where it's like I do get the like annoyance about like, oh, so there's gonna be like this
Another
trilogy of Batman movies over here in its own thing, and then like your mainline stuff. I get the annoyance with that, but I kind of defer to like, let that be its own thing. If it keeps being as good as the first one was, like let it just do its own thing, and then do your main Batman stuff. But even with the main Batman stuff, like the movie, the sentence-long synopsis they gave was like, yeah, we're doing Batman Brave and the Bold, and it's going to be him and Damian. And it's like, okay, interesting. We don't really get live-action Robin all that often, but it's like, again, we're going right to like Robin 4 or 5 or whatever. It's like, what about all the other ones before? Yeah. Maybe they try and say it where it's like, he is the first one, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Or do they go the path of like, yeah, Nightwing's already doing his own thing. Jason's been dead. Maybe he's back as Red Hood. Maybe he's not. Tim's doing his own thing. And it's like, again, maybe you can pull this off. I don't mind a universe in progress, but I'm more worried about that overall than I am about the Superman stuff with all the cast. Because it's like that. I trust James Gunn enough to be like, hey, there's little bits and pieces here, but like it's still Superman centric.
Also, I feel like a lot of James Gunn's movies, like especially the superhero ones, have like a large cast, like a lot of side characters. Like think of any of the Guardians movies. There's like, you know, all the Ravagers or whatever, and like there's like a lot of side characters, and they work really well in the movie.
Yes.
And same with something like the Suicide Squad. Like the movie. Remember when the movie starts? It's like there's like a team A.
Yes.
And it's like Pete
Davidson.
Yeah, and then they all get killed off. And like even those ones were kind of like funny and interesting right off the bat. And then he kills all of them, and then there's like a new team, and they're also really funny and interesting.
Yeah.
And it's like you meet King Shark for the first time, you meet Peacemaker for the first time, you meet Bloodshot and like the rat catcher girl, and like
Deadshot?
Not Deadshot, Bloodsport.
Bloodsport. Oh.
You meet all these new characters. The only one that's like familiar amongst all of them is like Rick Flag
and Harley.
Everybody else is new, and you've never met them before in any other movie, and it just like feels it's like awesome.
By the end of it, you
love them.
So it's like that's the thing where it's like I trust him enough with all that stuff, but that is the one thing that we'll have to check in many years from now of like how do they do with the whole what it sounds like they're trying to do of like I mean, the fact that they've gone with a young Superman, I know James kind of sort of said, like, we're not doing the whole origin thing, but, like, the fact that they're going with, like, a younger Superman, seeming like he's kind of, like, in Metropolis early on, like, trying to figure out everything, it's like, sure, you're trying to do, like, it almost sounds like they're trying to add Superman to a universe in progress, rather than starting with Superman, with like Man of Steel, for example, which like personally, if you came to me and were like, Matt, build a DC movie universe, it's like, okay, well, Superman is probably what I would start with and just build it from there kind of thing and then introduce all the other players.
I wouldn't start with Superman.
Or maybe
Start with
Batman.
Maybe I would start with
Batman probably is a good bet just because he kind of grounds it because there's no supernatural or like extraterrestrial shit yet. And then you could start to get to like aliens and Superman and
Well,
Green
you could start with
Lantern and,
Batman, and then you could make it like what they do with Batman v Superman, like Flash and Cyborg and whoever else. They aren't established, but they're these anomalies on Earth.
You know what I didn't like though? I didn't like the fact that in the DC universe with like that started with Man of Steel, I don't like that they jumped to Batman v Superman without giving Batman his own movie. Like they didn't give any sort of lead up with what's his name, Ben Affleck's Batman.
Yeah.
And we never will. Anyways,
I wanted to say. Sorry, I just wanted to say.
Well, I also have
in this
one more
cold
thing,
open.
but please go on.
Cool. So it's funny that Mark showed me a video of Squidward singing some song.
I think it was what's the song called, Matty? Hit 'Em Up?
I forget, but it's that Tupac song.
It's Tupac.
Yeah. But I was gonna say even if you didn't show me that, I heard some songs today. They weren't in the SpongeBob characters' voices, but I heard Plankton's voice. It was like the original song, but I heard it like, is that Plankton singing?
Were you listening to Beggin?
It wasn't Beggin though. It was that like style of like raspy almost. And it was like 3 separate raspy songs. I don't know how they came up today, but all of them, I was like, oh my god, this sounds like Plankton. And my mind is tainted now. That's it.
I was just going to toss that too because I know we've gone very long on this. Maybe it could have been a topic. They also put out the first teaser for the new Godzilla movie yesterday, so I just quickly have to get this off my chest. Next March, we're getting the Godzilla vs. Kong sequel out of the U.S., but this one coming November in Japan, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, Canada. December 1st is the one out of Japan. It will be 7 years by the time it comes out, since we've gotten a Japanese-made Godzilla. Before that, it was 12 years.
What was the first one? Like, what was the 7 years ago one?
7 years ago was the Shin Godzilla one.
Shin Godzilla. Is that the one with Bryan Cranston?
No, that's the 2014 American one. It's the Japanese one. I think
we never watched it then.
We didn't watch it together, but somebody just sent a meme, I think, to our chat the other day where it's like him and he like opened his mouth and it's like the purple.
That was Malcolm talking about it. The meme was something like
Grimace shake,
throwing up my grimace shake.
Yeah,
and it's like the ants on the anthill looking up at me, and then it's like Willem Dafoe looking up scared.
That one I really liked because it was like very cool, even though it's like slow and not a lot of action. I just love that design of Godzilla and that scene of him doing the fire for the first time, where like his mouth kind of opens way wide, but like the bottom jaw like splits in half kind of thing. And he just starts by shooting out like smoke and like orange fire and shit, and then it sort of like concentrates into just this like purple beam.
I think you showed us clips from it before.
Probably. But this new one they've just announced, the going rumor was that it was going to be called Godzilla Zero because it's Japan and they have to be weird. They called it Godzilla -1. That's literally the title of the movie. But what I like about it is that it's set in Japan right after World War II.
Ooh.
So it's going to be like a period piece. And it's also kind of obviously alluding to the 54 one, which is set like present day 54.
Any references you make, just go with the assumption that I don't know what you're talking about.
The original Godzilla movie came out in 1954.
Oh,
and it was set in present day.
It's set like it's set in 1954. So what it came, because the original one is basically an atomic bomb allegory, even though it looks like a just creature feature.
Dude, it's so hot when I'm exhaling from my nose, I can feel heat. Isn't that crazy?
It is. It's 5,000 degrees in here.
We should crack the window. Why not crack the window? I don't get it.
Why are you saying it to me like I said no? You're like,
I'm sorry. That was my intention.
I mean, last time I did say no. I was like,
maybe then unconsciously I did that.
Maybe.
Yeah. Anyways, new Godzilla, December. I'm so
new Godzilla, Plankton, DC.
DC.
That's our cold.
The episode's over. No, like that's what we're in the episode.
That's what we're done. All right, it was a good episode. See you guys.
See ya.
Welcome to episode 18 of Wildly Adequate, the show about anything, everything, and usually
What are you doing?
Nothing. I was looking back to make sure I didn't drop the glass. I just realized that for the cold open we just did, I never mentioned that I'm actually wearing a Superman shirt.
I noticed that.
Represent.
But the whole point of a camera is that you don't need to mention that.
Well, I wanted to mention it anyways. I am 1/3 of your hosting crew, Mr. Matthew Urso, and I am joined, as always,
Patrick Fahim. By Patrick Fahim.
And Mark Mashricky.
as you may have noticed, there are only 3 of us today. We are currently down a Malcolm. He could not make it. We think he will not be showing up today, but maybe
Probably
he'll come Kool-Aid Manning through the wall at some point. So for now, we thought we'd try this single camera setup with the 3 of us, because that also makes my life editing so much easier. Anyways, we went on and on in the open for far too goddamn long.
Let's jump
Patrick, take us away, baby.
Okay, so we've talked, for those who listen to this show, about doing food topics once we got onto video. So I wanted to take the opportunity to try out our first food topic. So basically, the goal of what we're going to try and do is I've made plain potato and sweet potato versions of various potato dishes, like ways to prepare potatoes. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through each version, okay, and we're going to basically say which we prefer,
The
either
sweet or the regular?
the sweet or the regular.
Could
Cool.
you acquire us a pen and paper, Patrick?
I have my phone, which
That
I'm going to
works
keep
too.
track.
So, I mean, I'm sure you're going to run through it. Is that regular mashed potatoes versus sweet over there?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. So, and just before we get into it, quick shout out to my parents. I was running really behind today, and they helped me prepare
Oh,
the food.
That's sweet of 'em.
So, say thank you to the Fahims.
Thank you,
thank you, Fahims.
Okay, so let's get started. I would
Yeah.
say we should start with the fries.
Okay.
To start. Okay,
Classic.
start basic.
Well,
okay?
actually,
Can I just dig in?
Should I? Oh, so hold on. Let me actually say to the camera
Sure.
what like all the
I would
things we have.
actually. What if we got the mashed potatoes and the baked potatoes out of the way first, because those are my least favorite, and then do the other 3 whatever order you want, or do whatever order you want. It is your
Okay. Well,
topic.
let me introduce everything first.
I feel like we should start with
Please.
fries. It's the most basic.
This is true.
Okay, so for the camera, we have sweet potato fries, plain fries, sweet potato chips, plain
Oh,
chips.
that's a 5,000 degrees.
Yeah, it's hot. I told you. It's hot.
Jeez, I was about to tilt it, and that plate is.
We have the mashed
hot.
potatoes, the loaded potatoes, and then these things over here is actually something I've never made or tried before.
Are they
It's
called
called
latkes?
it's
Is that
called
it?
potato roasty. I don't know if I pronounced that right. It's like a
Mm.
It's from Switzerland.
I've
originally.
tried that kind of like, it's kind of like a crispy like patty type thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mm.
It's
It's almost
so-
like a potato patty.
Yeah,
That's right.
The sweet potato did not come out right. But the regular recipe is plain potato.
Okay.
Right.
The sweet potato didn't come out
What's
as a patty.
the third
what's
one?
behind that there?
It's another plain.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm interested.
All right,
Yeah.
let's
Okay,
get going
so
here.
Matty, I know you sort of petitioned for us to start with the.
But do
also, what
whatever
is
you
this
want.
yak on this cup here?
I don't know. I guess we can get rid of that, huh?
Sure. Throw this to the side.
Get rid of that gacky cup.
Does everyone have cutlery?
I do.
Yeah. Also, I'm assuming we're gonna be like all tasting the sweet potato, and
Yes.
then at the end giving our verdict, all 3 of us.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll do one at a time.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Should we do plain, sweet, then give our opinions?
I think we all just taste the plain.
Yeah.
We all taste the sweet, and then
we
yeah.
go from there.
I'd say
Okay,
so.
so let's start with fries then. Okay.
Imagine eating fries with a fork.
It's kind of oily, so I don't want to. And we have our mics and stuff.
I'm gonna try desperately to chew like away from the mic, so that you, the viewers at home, don't kill yourselves or crash your car while you're driving.
Now, can you pass me a sweet potato?
I can.
I've tried the regular, classic.
Take another regular.
We're gonna eat all the shit, by the way. Whatever gets left is getting ate.
Of course. Okay.
Mm.
I gotta dig back into the regular here.
You got it. Okay, I think I know. It's tight. It's tight for me. It's not.
Honestly,
It's not far and away for one.
I can't reach. Can you bring me one?
Can I move this a little closer, maybe?
It's hot. Be careful, sweetie. I
Okay.
also have my verdict.
Okay, Mark, you want to start us off?
I can't believe I'm gonna say this
Yeah.
because typically I'm not for this type of thing. I prefer the sweet potato fry.
Wow.
You know why?
Why?
I think the regular fry I prefer when it's like in poutine form or
Mm.
dipping it in like having it with other stuff like a loaded fry type thing.
Yeah.
If I'm eating them plain and I'm not able to dip them in anything,
Yeah.
the sweet potato fry is just superior. It just has more flavor. The added sweetness is just, it's lovely.
Mm-hmm.
The regular fry is delicious. It's good. But it just feels a little bit too boring and basic to me.
Mm-hmm.
If I had the option to like have it in a poutine or a loaded fry, I'd prefer the regular fry with the fixins.
Fair enough. Matthew?
I'm just laughing because I was thinking in my head, it's like, I'm just going to call this topic potatoes.
Yes.
So here's the thing, and this is going to be a bit of a spoiler alert, although maybe we'll have a plot twist later in the topic. I am not a big sweet potato person, generally speaking.
Me neither.
So I'm telling you right now that most of these answers are going to be me being more partial to just original potatoes.
So originals.
So I'm going original fries.
Okay.
But
Alright.
so I have a feeling I'm going to go original everything.
I'm just
But
gonna keep eating here.
maybe
Yeah, keep
we'll be surprised. Maybe we'll have a bit of a shocking twist.
Yeah. For me, like Mark said, when they're in their plain form, just standalone, it's the sweet potato that takes it for me. It just has the added sweetness and
It's just
the
more.
added flair to it.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it other than using that word, to be honest.
Sure.
It's like an extra kick,
To me, there's certain foods that like the most basic form is the best.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really like cheese pizza, oftentimes
yeah.
more than like with a shit ton of toppings on it. But to me, pizza, even just cheese pizza, is complex enough to be delicious by itself.
Mm-hmm.
That's not complex enough. It's just a fried potato. It's just nothing. It's not like it doesn't have the kind of added layer of
in
intrigue.
Matthew's defense,
yes.
in eating a few, I had my first one wasn't really that salty, but then my second one had a little more
Was
salt
better?
to it. So
Okay.
maybe the seasoning is a little off, but
Would you come if
Oh, boy.
McDonald's came out one day and was like, "Hey, we're doing our fries like the
Sweet
thin, long cut, salty as shit fries, but sweet potato"?
Wow, the answer
maybe.
is no.
Maybe.
I mean, A&W I'm already content with like
I
fast
guess
food
that's
fries.
true.
A&W
A&W,
has
yeah,
the best
they
sweet
have
potato
their
fries
sweet
that I've
potato
had.
And dipping
fries.
it in the Chipotle is
Oh
great.
yeah, oh yeah.
Um,
Okay,
yeah.
are we good to move
Yeah,
on?
let's
to
move
our
on.
next
So
Please.
2-1 for sweet potato so far.
Okay, I'm thinking we do the mashed, then go to chips.
I'd love to do the mashed.
Sure.
Okay,
Let's do it.
we'll do mashed chips, Matt,
Sure.
and then we'll do loaded,
Sure.
Maybe
and then we'll end on the
Sure.
roasted. Okay,
can you maybe turn the mash towards us,
I think
like towards
It's
me
not
a
too
little
I was
bit?
gonna ask Patrick to serve us.
Yeah, like that. Perfect.
This is gonna be a mess.
All right,
Okay,
let's
so
start with why the regular looks quite interesting.
The
here.
regular is was prepared very creamy,
Okay.
very creamy. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some of that.
Now, while these guys dig in, I also have to mention
You mentioned it.
I have texture issues. I'm sure this wasn't that the very first topic we ever
Yeah.
did of the show, food aversions. That was your first
Yeah.
topic ever.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it was.
I think that was Mark's first topic ever. So go
What's
back to episode 1, food aversions.
What's in that?
topic.
It's butter, cheese.
They taste like chickpeas. It smells. It's
The thing?
It smells
There's
like.
no peas in there.
It has
It's
like
just
a.
a potato.
It's not just like. Oh, sorry.
Well, it's the potato and cheese. And then black pepper, obviously. It tastes off to me as well. To be honest, I'm gonna go to the sweet potato now.
I'm not getting chickpeas, but what I was going to say is I don't like soft foods,
Yeah.
specifically mashed potatoes. So just so you all know what I'm putting myself
try the
through
sweet?
for the sake of your entertainment. you
Come on.
fucking-
Come on now. No, can I start?
Go ahead.
The sweet potato mashed potatoes are unbelievably
They're really good.
way better.
They're
Now-
really, really good.
Now here's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just
Wow.
yeah, they're better.
I got to go play it again.
Really?
Let me say something here. I'm gonna go with the sweet mashed potatoes because for some reason the regular ones don't taste like basic mashed potatoes. They taste like they have a little bit of like a little bit
Some spice to it.
some spice to it. It tastes a little bit more like I don't know. It tastes hummusy to me. I don't know why, but I like the classic flavor of the sweet potato one, and it's nice and cheesy. I
I'm
like it.
mixing them because I'm a sociopath.
Yeah, I'm
You know
going
what?
sweet potato.
What do you think?
You know what? This might be the one rare exception. I think I might go sweet.
Really?
I
And
think
why
I'll
is
do
that?
it. I don't know. I just, you know what it is? It's because here's my thing with sweet potatoes and why I'm not a fan. It's not that the extra, like that weird taste they have, it's not that I don't like it. It's just I don't desire or want it in my mouth, you know?
I hear you.
And I find these sweet potato or these mashed sweet potatoes, that like extra sweet potato taste is a little more subdued than in like, because like eating one of these plain fries, it's just sweet potato all day, which I'm not like crazy about. So
All right, Patrick, what's your verdict?
I'll go sweet potatoes on the mash.
So I'm just marking down what we've said on my phone here. So for me, I'm going to just write this real quick. Matt, plain. Yeah, for me it's the sweet potato. But with the fries, it was more tight.
Yes.
They were more similar in my enjoyment of each. But I think I'm with you again on this one where it's the sweet potatoes are leaps and bounds.
I just think that to me, it's like, I like basic
And just for the record,
mashed potatoes.
the mashed potatoes were prepared exactly the same way. So
But were
there
they
wasn't
straight up-
separate ingredients for them. It's
Mm.
all the same ingredients.
That's weird. I don't know why. Like they don't taste bad, but the mashed potatoes don't taste like typical mashed potatoes to me.
Mhm.
I like the kind of like basic potato flavor.
Yeah.
Like with the fries, it was like basic potato, sweet potato. This was
Yeah.
like kind of like interesting spiced mashed potatoes that taste a
Yeah.
little bit different, or sweet potato mashed potatoes.
Mhm. So are you saying that if it was plain,
I might like it
basic,
more.
You might like it more.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But in this exact case, sweet potato wins for me.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the.
Oh yeah, I was
Loaded.
waiting for that.
Do you mind if I just angle it just to show the camera?
Sure, go ahead.
Please.
I got it. I can do it.
Is this
Yeah,
plate
you wanna?
also 5,000 degrees? Those are going flying.
Those are
got
gonna
it.
go flying.
I got it.
Now,
So
I don't
those
want
are
to. I don't want
the
to call into
loaded.
question the validity of your method here, Patrick.
Yeah.
I assume the sweet potato and the normal potato both have the same
Yes.
toppings.
Exact same.
Interesting.
toppings.
I mean, I guess that puts them
Bacon,
on
cheese,
Oh,
green
yeah.
onions.
See,
Hell
here's the
yeah,
thing. I
dude.
feel like that puts them on an even playing field, but I will admit, I think it somewhat throws off the pure potato-ness of both of them.
Okay, but
And I just
just
wanted
just
to
just two
give
things
that,
on that point.
please.
Most of these recipes are plain potato recipes. So
Mhm.
it's the sweet potato that I think that would have the disadvantage.
I suppose.
All right,
Anyways,
let's
let's
do it.
Let's see.
go on.
How am I supposed? How do you want me to get into this?
Just get in there.
I'm just digging in.
Okay.
Ooh, Mark, you actually want to put that a little closer to Matthew's laptop.
Oh shit.
Oh, wow.
Well, I want to make sure
These
I
are
get some
huge.
skin too. Whoops.
Oops. Right on the
Man.
table. Skin?
Yeah.
What do you mean skin?
You eat
Potato
the
skin.
This is the kind of potato, not with all this like extra loaded stuff, but one of these potatoes with just like butter is what you would get with like a steak, dude.
Mm.
I'm going into the sweet potato now.
Pretty good. Could use some salt, to be honest, in my opinion.
What?
Every time he puts a sweet potato in his mouth, he smiles. I'm gonna stand up here. Oh, I got. Oh my god.
You gotta get all the ingredients in there.
Yeah, I think I got all of them.
Shit.
Oh,
Fuck.
interesting.
I'm digging back in.
I made an error. I made a boo boo.
That's interesting.
I have my
The
pick.
the sweet potato caught me off guard there.
In what sense? Describe
It wasn't
to
what
us.
it wasn't what I was expecting. It's more creamy first of all than
Mm-hmm.
the plain potato. I thought it would be the other way around. To be
I
honest
have my
with you.
verdict. I can start.
I'm
again.
going plain again.
I'm going plain with this one.
I think I'm going plain as well. To be
Interesting.
quite
Hey,
honest.
come to the right side.
And the reason I'm going plain is this one tastes more like savory and kind of, I don't know. I like that kind of
Yeah.
savoriness of it. This is like obviously sweeter, and you said creamier,
Yeah.
but for I don't know. I kind of like the savoriness with the cheese and the bacon and stuff.
Right.
Because also the cheese adds creaminess by itself.
To be honest
Right.
with you, it doesn't feel right with the sweet potato in this recipe.
Mm.
Yes.
It feels.
It feels off. It's like sweet potato wasn't meant for such a thing.
Mhm.
Mm.
It's the green onion. I think it's the green onion because the green onion is like, what taste would you say green onion is? It's hard to describe.
Green onion's kind of like shit. I don't know.
This
All,
is so
all I
funny.
know is that it's clashing with the sweet. That's what I know.
This is like a food review show. This is so funny.
I'm going back to the sweet potato and seeing if I'm wrong.
No, it's plain for me. It's definitely plain for me. No doubt in my mind.
Something, yeah.
Plain all day.
Yeah,
plain
plain.
all day,
Okay.
baby.
So just for the audience, we're split on the fries. Mark and I say sweet potato is superior to plain, and Matthew says plain is better. For the mashed potatoes, again,
We're all
We said-
sweet.
Oh,
we're not?
You said sweet?
For the sweet mashed, yeah. I go
Oh, that's
sweet with
right,
the
you
mashed.
did.
I'm gonna try and have a little counter going on screen.
Yeah, get a count.
For
That
you, the
yeah.
viewer, because I slave away for you, because you expect so much of me.
I keep digging back into this regular one. It's really good.
Plain potatoes.
Okay,
baby.
so let's move on to the. We have the chips and the roasty left. What do you guys want to do?
Let's do chips.
Chips? Okay, I think it's pretty clear which one's gonna be because the sweet potatoes don't look right to me. Let's start with sweet.
the fuck out of town, dude.
Those are pretty good.
These are nice because like I know sometimes Patrick and I, if we go to the works with our work buddies, they like complain that they're like, oh, some of them are like soft or like whatever, but these have a good crunch
These
factor.
all good crunch, yeah.
I'll tell you what. There's one that I went back to immediately.
I think we're all gonna be on the same page for this one. Mark, you want to start us off?
I don't know I think it might be the crunch factor, the form factor, the saltiness. I just like the regular chip more. I'm a big fan of regular flavored Lay's, and they just remind me of just like a really good kettle cooked chip.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm
it's
just
the
not.
crunch.
Yeah, I think it's the crunch. Maybe if they were prepared, I'm not saying they were prepared differently, but I think the sweet potato just cooks differently. But if they were the identical form, it might be closer. But to me, it's clearly the regular one.
I think it is because of the nature of the sweet potato, because they were prepared in the exact same way.
Can you pass me one more? That biggie one?
You want this guy?
Yeah.
There you go.
I am also gonna go plain. I will say though, I'm pleasantly surprised by how much I like the sweet potato
Not
chip.
bad.
I think this is the closest one so far.
For you?
Yes.
But you
Well,
but
here's the
mashed
thing.
one.
Yeah, the sweet potato
Sweet potato
mashed one.
Yeah.
But I think that was, I mean, I'm not crazy about mashed potatoes either way, so that was just kind of like choosing, whatever. But I think between chips, which I both like, I knew that these chips, the plain ones, were obviously going to be better and far and away the best thing. But it's not as like big of a blowout as I thought. It's not quite a landslide. Like I will say, those sweet potato chips, those are delicious too.
Yeah.
This is a very close
I need a bowl
competition
of
so
those.
far.
It is
think.
pretty close. I mean, I've been having trouble I've been too focused on the food, so I haven't really been keeping track at all of what we chose. I do want to pull up just what I had here. So yeah, this last thing, roasty, which I've never had before. From the website I made it from, they describe it as delicious little crispy patties made from grated potatoes. And again, I read that it was from Switzerland, but I could be wrong on that.
I'm ready to dig in here.
Okay, let's do it.
Mark took a whole one.
Yeah, I can split it with you if you'd like.
I'm going to take a whole one too.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's why we have the knives. I think. Ooh, crispy on the outside.
Oh, wow.
Is it good?
Yeah, that's delicious.
Nice and salty.
At the beginning, I was like, wow, this is going to be so easy for me to edit this episode because it's just one camera. But it's like, this topic specifically is going to be muting and taking out so much audio of just like chewing sounds.
The plain was quite
Yeah,
good.
I knew that was going to be delicious,
The
but that
plain
was
was
something
amazing.
else. Patrick, why don't you go ahead and get me some of that sweet one?
Okay.
Here's your problem. The sweet potato one's burnt a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so I made the fries.
Mm-hmm.
I made the chips.
Here we go. We're
I
about
made,
to place the blame.
No. I made the fries, chips, and the roasty.
Oh.
So I'm not gonna lie to you, my attention was split, and I kind of left the sweet potatoes on for a little too long.
Yeah, regular all the way.
The sweet one is very good, which also kind of surprises me.
Not bad.
But yeah, it's
I'm
plain
digging
all
back.
the way.
I'm digging back into the potato here.
Hold on, I just need one more bite of the sweet before I make
For
my
this
final
little
verdict.
potato patty thing, I'm going plain, but the sweet's good. You know what I think it is? Well, actually, that's a lie, because what I'm about to say was about to be contradicted. So never mind. I digress.
It's really close for the patties for me. It's extremely close.
Really?
But I'm gonna have to go plain.
Let's go.
I'm gonna have to go plain.
I feel like plain got its fair share. of
The
points
flavor.
today.
Sorry. I'm just gonna say yeah.
You go.
The flavor just popped out more for me.
It exploded.
It exploded. Thank you. That's the perfect word. Exploded.
That was a explosion in my mouth.
Yeah.
The best possible kind.
That was my first time making it. It was pretty easy. It's not hard at all, actually.
Yeah, that was delicious. Make that shit more.
And I think it would be even better if you dipped it in like some sort of sauce, ketchup, barbecue sauce.
Oh yeah.
Well,
with some
let's
sauce?
not get carried away.
Okay, yeah. Matthew's not a sauce
Not
guy.
a sauce guy either.
Yeah.
Come
okay,
at
so
me.
we've tried everything.
Let's tally it up.
Let's tally it up. So the majority takes it for each thing.
Okay, so sweet potato. Oh, sorry. So the
What are
baked
we
potato.
tallying?
So baked potato.
So in each form, what was preferred, and then
Can we do it where we do like the total votes for sweet and the total votes for plain across
we could
the
do that
things?
too. We could do
Okay.
that too.
So
Yeah.
so baked potato. We got
3 for plain.
3 for plain.
Okay.
So that's I'm gonna put that on this hand. We got
I
fries.
should have got a notebook. My bad.
For fries, we got regular and 2 sweet.
Yeah.
Mhm. So 4 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then for mashed potatoes, we got
3 sweets.
1, 2, 3.
Yep.
And then for the patties, we got
3 plain.
3 plain.
So that puts that at 7 and 5.
7 and 5. And then what was the last thing?
3 of the patties were all plain.
We just did
We did that. 7 and 5. And then what was
Did
the
we
last
do the
thing?
patties? Oh, the
Chips.
chips.
7 and 5. And then we did all 3 regular chips.
Oh
Right?
yeah, 10 and
10 to
5.
5, baby.
Damn, is that
Wow.
our final tally?
I guess so.
You're gonna have to put a graphic
We'll
for
have a
that
graphic
too.
up, but let's go. Plain chips or whatever. Plain potatoes for the win.
There you
dude.
have it. So I guess the conclusion of this topic is that plain potatoes are more versatile. I guess
I think they work in
Honestly,
more.
I
they work
think
in more.
It's the sweet potato thing that you guys like, that extra kick that in the fries, if you rewind the clip when you guys were saying like, oh, the fries have that extra kick and the plain fries are just, whatever.
yeah.
That kick works against the sweet potato fries the more you go, I think.
Well, I mean,
Because the plainness of a normal potato
Yeah.
allows it to be thrown into anything.
you're right.
And
That's
it's
what I was
not
about
really
to say.
it's
It's like
not
a-
putting a taste on anything.
It's like a base.
Yes. Whereas doing
Build
like
off of it.
doing a sweet potato anything, immediately your base has that extra twang to it
Yeah, you're
that
right.
a normal potato does not have.
I think you're absolutely right.
To me, it seems like the simpler the dish, the more the sweet potato shines. Maybe
Sure.
like the fries,
Mashed
very
potatoes,
simple.
fries.
Even the chips were pretty good. You guys said you said it was one of the closer ones. But when it's more complicated and it's like more ingredients, the regular potato just takes it.
Yeah, because like you said, it's like the base, and it's almost like how white goes with everything, or
It's a
black
good-
goes with everything.
It's a good vessel.
Yeah, it's a good vessel. Yeah. But yeah, this was fun.
Word
I like
of the
this.
day vessel. Oh, shit.
What?
Llama gave me an idea for something that I thought we could do on the show, and I just realized we didn't do it.
Damn. Next time.
We'll do it next time.
Next week.
Sorry, Llama.
Sorry, Lemma. But yeah, this was fun. So thank you guys for tuning into this topic where we.
Thank you, Patrick, for the food.
You're welcome. It didn't take too long, but yeah, like when I was talking with you on the phone, how I said I was stressed.
Mm-hmm.
This is why, because I was running late and I was trying to get all this stuff prepared. But yeah, again, final verdict: plain potatoes more versatile than the sweet potato.
That's right.
Feed me.
I'm the best cook I know, Matthew.
Okay. So today, fellas, I wanted to get into something with you that I thought about and thought, oh, this would be kind of interesting. I don't know how long we'll go with it, but I figured today, let's do the podcast topic about podcasts.
Okay.
I just kind of wanted
It's
to
almost
get into...
like breaking the fourth wall.
Yes, it is. I'm reaching out to you, the viewer. I'm in your home right now. Turn around. I'm right behind you. No, because I'm a podcast fan, and I figure, now that we've been doing one a little while here, 18 episodes in, right in this
Not
very
to
second.
brag.
Not to brag or anything.
Who's the one that cited a statistic that said most podcasts fail after or stop after 3 episodes?
I don't remember.
Wasn't it
I don't
you?
It might have been. I don't fucking know.
What does that
Huh.
mean? Fail? Like they just
They
quit?
just stop. Yeah, they quit, I guess.
Oh.
Boom. We lasted longer than that. Suck at statistics.
Let's not reference me as a source here. I
For
actually don't know
podcasts?
what I'm talking about.
For podcasts.
For
With the whole 3 number.
the whole
thing.
three.
Oh,
of
I
them,
thought
yeah.
you meant for my topic.
No,
that's
no.
okay. But anyways, yeah. So I'm a big podcast fan. So I kind of wanted to just get into like what type of podcasts you guys like to listen to, if any, and then we can rattle off some specific shows.
Sure.
I'm not as interested as maybe we'll get into it. The idea of podcasts holistically and how they've sort of blown up over the past like 20 years, I would say.
Okay.
Like I'm not. Maybe we can get into that, but it's more just like a
Like the cringy shit that you look at. Like you're saying, like just like the podcast, you're like, why is that a thing?
Well, more so just podcasts like as a media form, like how they kind of like started a couple decades ago and have just
dominating
risen.
radio. Basically.
Yeah, and like now they basically like there's it's like the joke of like everybody has a podcast. There's a million podcasts and like so many of them are so big.
Yeah.
Like it's very interesting. Now we're getting into it. It's very interesting because it's not like movies, for example, where it's like you have a weekend box office and it's like this movie made the most money, and then this one maybe made second most. Like when Oppenheimer and Barbie come out at the end of this month, I think by the time this episode comes out, they'll already be out. But like those two movies come out on the same day, so it'll be like an interesting little thing of
dueling.
like which one of the movies is gonna like outperform the other. But with podcasts, it's like
which one do you guys think will outperform?
I think
hope Barbie.
I think Oppenheimer.
It's gonna be Barbie. I guarantee it. Yeah.
I hope Oppenheimer. I assume Barbie.
Barbie has more of a broad audience. I guess less people know who Oppenheimer is, or like the story of the nuclear bomb shit. It's like they probably Barbie's a household name.
It's gonna be a lighter movie, and it's just gonna be
also it'll be like less depressing
also,
and like soul crushing.
I feel like Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie are like bigger names than like a Cillian Murphy. He's great, but
also Margot's very beautiful.
That's true. That'll get a lot of people to watch it just for that.
There you go. But yeah, so it's like just interesting how there are so many podcasts that do so well to varying levels. Like not every podcast is Joe Rogan's.
Yeah.
And yet there's still ones that are like as successful in terms of like
I think there's more coexistence and like more like a shit ton of them that are like super popular as opposed to like hierarchy or whatever.
Movies and like other art forms where it's just like this is the best coupled movies and then it's like everything else. And like video games is more in between where it's like, obviously you've got your like top dogs, but like there's a lot going on. Whereas podcasts, it's just like everybody just kind of doing it.
And I've seen on Instagram Reels a lot recently of like really
Why'd you give me that look?
I don't know.
Like I've seen on Instagram, like to your point, I've seen like on Instagram Reels like very small podcasts that don't really have that many followers, and like a clip has like 1 million views,
Right?
And it's like these two guys making a joke about something, and then they're like, the clip blew up, and now their podcast got bigger. But like before the clip blew up, they only had like a couple hundred subscribers or whatever. So yeah, pretty. It's like the kind of everybody could do it.
Yeah,
it's like with like movies and stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No,
with movies and stuff, it's like it's getting more and more accessible, and you're able to do a movie. Even like some people do like iPhone short movies and stuff. But even then, it's like it requires more groundwork, I think, and oftentimes some sort of budget, some sort of like team. But with podcasts, you could just like anybody could do it.
Yes. Two things. First thing, the last topic made this table filthy.
Yep.
And we're gonna have to clean this.
Yep.
That's the first thing. Second thing, do you guys believe that for a podcast to be successful, the general rule is that it should have a niche? Like I know Joe Rogan has no niche or whatever.
I disagree with that notion because I know this was something we talked about when we first thought of doing the show, of like, do we pick a lane or do we just go? I think it's a completely valid and true argument that by as going as broad as we have not limits, but it doesn't give people something to latch onto necessarily. Yeah. But my point at the same time is like there are so many popular podcasts that don't have
a theme
or a niche. Like I know a lot of like comedy podcasts, which we'll get into, or like comedian run podcasts. Like the idea is you're watching comedians, so podcasts are usually funny and you're kind of there for like the personalities, whatever. But they aren't talking about, on today's episode of fucking Two Bears, One Cave with Tom Segura and Burt Kreischer, we're talking video games again. Like they kind of
just do their thing.
They're just sort of shooting the shit. And like Joe Rogan's the same thing where his is broad and like about anything. I think
Joe Rogan's point is that it's about literally about everything.
Also,
it's about the people he brings on.
I think what helps with his show is there are a lot of like people who just watch every single episode of his show. I am not one of those people. To me, what influences what I tune into, and I think it's the same for our show, is just the guest, because that to me informs the subject matter. Yeah. So it's like when he has Jamie Foxx or Robert Downey Jr. on, it's like, oh, okay, cool, like movie stuff. When he's got like, fucking David Lee Roth from Van Halen, it's like, okay, music stuff. When he has other comedians on, it's like, it's going to be more funny stuff.
Oftentimes he's been having a lot of like UFC fighters on, and I always watch those.
Yeah, or if he's got like political people, like when he had Bernie Sanders on, it's like, oh, I'll watch that because that's
and he
interesting.
had Robert F. Kennedy. I didn't watch that one yet.
That one I
I
haven't
haven't
seen, but
watched
that
that
guy
either.
also seems like
You're right. It's kind of
potentially
like our
made
show where I know some people have come up to me. They're like, "Oh yeah, I watch your show, but like the video game stuff, like I tune out
Yes.
for those topics."
Yeah, I've
And
had
it's
people
fair,
say
it's
that
like-
to me too, and it's like
Yeah.
to me that is the nice thing about our show, where it's like if we were a video game only show, people who don't like video games are never going to tune in ever once, kind of thing. Whereas if we can say we're a show about anything, everything, and usually nothing, then it's like, you don't care about video games? Okay, great. This one 20-minute topic wasn't for you, but the other hour and a half episode where we get into fucking, sports, fashion, and food or whatever, those things are more like for you kind of thing, and you tune
Yeah.
into that.
To me, the goal of it is like, because you're talking about the successfulness of a podcast. To me, it's like the goal is to have people who want to watch because of the personalities.
Okay, so it's
Or
the
like
personalities that make
It's like if you like if you like Joe Rogan, like even if you don't necessarily love the guest, you're gonna watch the podcast because you really like Joe Rogan. And it's like, yeah, a lot of people will pick it based on the guest as well, but I feel like even like something like Two Bears One Cave or any comedian podcast, they watch it like Matty was saying because of the comedian, because you like the comedian, you like their opinions, you think they have an interesting perspective on life or whatever. So I feel like if
they're funny.
yeah, sure. So I feel like if there's something like, if we're funny, if we're interesting, if we are having a good time and people can feel us having a good time and they're kind of, feeling that energy, that's where it is, as opposed to like, I don't think anyone would watch our show because they like really want to hear about
What we think about X,
sure.
Y, or
Like,
Z,
I don't think ultimately people are like dying to know, oh, what do we think about video game UI? But I love that conversation and it was a really fun conversation.
Yeah, it was.
And I feel like because of our enthusiasm about it, and because of how we interacted on that topic as friends, I feel like people like that. People like the interaction. People like the enthusiasm.
On that point,
Not necessarily just like a niche topic.
On that point, I actually had a couple of people come up to me who don't engage with video games, but they're like, "Oh, we saw like the UI clip that you guys put out," and they're like, "Oh yeah, that was like a really cool clip," and we agreed with
Dead Space.
the Dead Space thing. They were like, "Oh yeah, if we don't play video games, we're not into video games like that, but like we can see the point."
We wouldn't.
Yes.
We wouldn't want to have shit all over the screen of the UI. It's like we like the idea of like minimalizing. Yeah.
That to me is the hope too, where it's like, even if we're not catching people with all 4 of the topics on a given episode, let's say, the idea is that we're catching you with hopefully at least 1, but hopefully like 2 or 3. And the idea is too is that hopefully you stick around for the shit that you're maybe not as interested in because you just want to like, because of you want to hear what the people have to say about it, or you want to learn more about like whatever XYZ reason kind of thing.
I know this is random as well, but to me, I also value like the spontaneity of a podcast. I kind of like. I think a lot of people will tune into podcasts unless it's like there's like science podcasts and like very specific topics. People are listening to them for those topics, but otherwise it's like mainly, like I said, like a personality thing or enthusiasm thing. So to me, it's like I personally like watching podcasts for the spontaneous interactions between people, the laughs, the jokes, the kind of like goofiness, just like hanging out, having a good time, and being enthusiastic when you're talking about something. So to me, it's like I've been thinking about how I want to be more just like random on the show, like maybe like bring up something that's not prepared. This week I didn't do that, but like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I kind of want to have a more of a...
Yeah, well, I mean, the perfect example, and I don't want to bring up the topic because it was in an unreleased episode.
Okay.
But the very first demo we did, you had a really funny topic. I'm just going to do this and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Was it the nose topic?
Oh, I didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
I guess it's not.
It's vague enough.
It's vague enough, yeah. The nose topic.
Surprisingly enough, that was like one of my, if not my, that's probably my favorite topic I've ever done.
That was fun.
What was I going to say?
On the demo, the very first demo.
The other thing too with podcasts, sort of as a media form or whatever the fuck, and then we can get into some specific stuff. Is I also think what helps podcasts help them blow up is that it is just like what you're saying, but more so it's just like conversation, which people already kind of like. And I think it's the sort of last bastion for like real conversation in a lot of ways.
And long form
conversation, because it's like nowadays it's so much social media and other bullshit where it's people just firing opinions or thoughts into the internet kind of back and forth, and there's no substance to it, and
Yeah.
even TV's become that problem too, where it's when you have a news thing on fucking Fox News and it's like 5 talking heads.
Yeah,
it's like you're not getting anything out of this, especially when you're only getting to see the 5 talking heads for like 4 minutes before whoever has to be all right. And that's our segment. Thanks for tuning in for these fucking jack-offs. Like now we got to go.
They said
Even-
like 2 sentences each.
Yeah,
then
exactly.
They said the inflammatory words in the left.
Yeah, even to give Rogan credit for this, he talks about how he's like, he likes having politicians on
Yes.
because he can ask them a whole range of questions and they have like 3 hours to talk about it.
Yes.
Whereas like when there's like you know, a presidential campaign and the 2 candidates are talking, it's like a 10-minute show and there's ads in between and it's like we got to make this quick.
yes.
It's like how are we supposed to cover any?
I want to build on this.
Sure.
Sorry to cut you off.
No,
there.
it's okay.
I like watching the Joe Rogan episodes that have politicians on because I actually get to understand what the hell
Yes.
their opinions are.
With
and
detail.
But
yeah.
when I've watched debates, like for example the last election for Canada, watching the prime minister, like the candidates for prime minister.
Pierre and
Well,
Justin?
he's current, but
Oh, okay.
before watching the debates
Aaron
between them,
O'Toole.
was it him?
Oh, was it
Yeah, it
him?
was O'Toole.
Oh, it was O'Toole. You're
Yeah,
right.
it was O'Toole.
I didn't know anything. Like I watched the debate and I went away with I have no idea what he's gonna do. I have no idea what she's gonna do. I have no idea
Yeah.
what he's gonna do.
Yes.
I don't know what's happening right now. They just accused each
Well,
other of like, oh, you think this,
Yeah.
and then he said, oh no, you think
Well,
that.
I think that's
Whereas
why,
on
yeah.
Joe Rogan,
Mm.
he, like you said, he asked them the questions
Mm.
and they go in depth on like, okay, this is my plan, this is how I see it,
Yeah.
and this is my opinion.
And also, it's like because of how people, because you're saying like you watched it and you didn't come away with anything. I think that's why a lot of people, if you ask them like why they voted for this person, they'd just be like, oh, you know, I kind of like them, or
Yes.
like they don't
Yeah.
really have any like.
That's what I was
point.
about to say, where it's like the people who hate Trudeau, and I'm not necessarily his biggest fan, like, or hater one way or the other, but I will like openly admit where it's like, I don't know enough about Trudeau,
Me neither.
not in like him as a person,
A
but I'm just saying
policy
like
sense.
policies and all that sense. Like, and I don't know anything enough about him really, truly, and honestly to like
Form a strong
come
opinion.
to a verdict
Sure.
one way or the other.
Which
Whereas
is an honest answer.
And which to me is like what the craziness is when people are like super passionate about hating
About
someone.
hating
Yes,
him,
and when
like in
people
the
are like
comment
that-
section.
when
Same
people
with
are
celebrities,
like,
you know.
when people
Yeah.
are like fuck Trudeau and like he's brought the country down the fucking drain and all this stuff, or when people say the same thing about Biden in the States, where like he's ruining the country, I'm like obviously there's problems, obviously there's room for improvement, but it's like I don't look at Canada and the US right now and be like, boy, that ship's sinking kind of thing. Like I'm like, all right, it's kind of just business as usual. I get there's like, you know, it gets into like the inflation shit and the economy and all that stuff, and I get all that, but it's like pinning it on one person, and I get that the idea is they're steering the ship, but it's like pinning it on one person. It's kind of the thing where like when Trump took over,
I just want to make sure we know what we're doing here.
Okay.
This is the very first time it seems like we're getting political.
Sure.
Are you guys
Yeah.
comfortable with
I
that?
don't
Yeah, but also I don't think
Okay.
we're talking about like our
We're not
political
specific-
opinions.
We're not. Okay.
We're just
fair
talking
enough.
about our opinion on politics.
but what
Okay.
I was gonna say is like it's kind of like when Trump took over from Obama, and it was like Obama. It's like that was the worst economy ever, and then when Trump leaves and he's like, I've left it in the best place ever, and then like Biden comes in, and it's like Trump had the worst economy ever,
Yeah.
and when he fucking leaves, he'll be like, I left it in the best.
You know
it's
what I
ever been.
love?
And it's like taking out all the context of like Obama's economy was built on Bush's, whose was built on whoever the fuck before him, who's built on whoever the fuck. Like it's it's this dominoing effect, but it's like it gets
Everyone wants all the credit for the good
People
stuff.
just go like
and-
the new person comes in and it's like the person before is supposed to be like, you know, you're kind of like starting fresh. Like you're not
Yes.
starting fresh.
and this is
Yeah.
more so in the weeds, but the point I'm kind of getting at is like that is the thing with podcasts where I feel like the long form
Oh yeah, that was
nature
a
of it,
topic.
I was like, wait, are we going to title this politics
the
now?
long form nature of it, I think, is what benefits not only the people on the show, but it benefits the people listening. Because I guarantee you, I have like, if Trudeau, for example, not that he ever would, went on Joe Rogan's episode or show, and they did like a 4-hour episode.
I'd love to watch that.
I guarantee you, sitting and watching that 4-hour episode, you would have infinitely more,
Respect.
maybe, but you would have more information and like a
To form
way
an
more
opinion.
informed opinion
Yeah.
than people who don't watch the news, don't read the news, and they just see like, because like every once in a while, if I'm going through Instagram and I'm going through like recommended
You just
reels,
see the
I don't know
headlines.
why, but I either get headline reels that are like Trudeau dunks on Pierre. What the hell's his last name?
Poilievre.
I just like that his initials are PP. The fact that that guy thinks he's running for prime minister with the initials PP. If I was in Trudeau's marketing thing, I'd be like, every ad is like PP.
You know what I usually see? I usually see Mr. PP and Justin Trudeau like debating in the thing.
Or the other reel is it's like PP dunking on Trudeau.
That's what
like what an idiot.
That's what I've seen. I've seen like it's like a fucking
like a circus.
It's like a circus.
That's all it is,
bro. I've seen a clip where Justin Trudeau says something and then he sits down and then Pierre gets up and he's like, "This guy just said this," and everyone starts laughing and everyone starts screaming. He's like, "I can't believe he said that. He just contradicted himself. Like he's not giving people jobs and now he's complaining about low like he's
and
kind of,
people
and everyone's
see
going
like
crazy."
those 10-second clips and then you read all the comments and on the liberal ones it's all like, yeah, get him, Trudeau, and then there's the comments of like, fuck this guy, you guys are all insane. And then on the like conservative stuff it's like, yeah, get him, PP, and then there's the comments of like, this guy's a right-wing idiot, like let's go, PP. Like, but it's
what I want. Sorry,
no, that's okay, go.
What I want.
You want.
And I'm just gonna go back to the debates. Let's just call them presidential debates. Prime ministerial debates.
Any sort of like leadership debate should be exactly what you're about to describe.
I want the mediators to be. First of all, for this to work, there needs to be more time for the debates.
Yes.
And I'd like the mediators to press the candidates when they ask them a question and then
clarify. And
then they just point the finger at the other person and say, well, this person thinks this. It's like, cool. Okay, now answer the question. And then once they don't answer the question, that's all you need to know. And
fact check it. And to me, it's like, yeah, a presidential debate should be like a 4 or 5 hour sit down of like,
not a 1 hour.
We're going to talk to you. We're going to talk to you. Like, you guys can, to me, it should almost be like 2 podcasts back to back.
You know,
where it's like you have your mediator, talk to one person for like an hour, talk to the other person for like an hour,
and
then let them talk to each other, talk to both of them. It's also, like it should be this long, drawn out, like important thing. And I know the problem with that is that doesn't put eyeballs on the screen and glue people to the TV, but it's like that's how it should be fucking done.
What I was gonna say is that, like, would it even be a smart? I don't know how they do it in because it seems like in like the Canadian prime minister debates, like there was like, you know, a whole crowd of people in there, and then for like the presidential debates in the States, there's like a whole crowd of people, and like, you know, would it even be better to have just like the 2 candidates in a room by themselves with with a mediator, because then they're not like trying to play up to the audience and be like,
there shouldn't be any crowd.
Remember this scandal, and then everyone's like, yeah, they're a piece of shit.
The only crowd that should be there is when they want to do the thing where they have like audience people ask questions of like, what are you gonna do for the minimum wage? Like, you want to do that type of shit, fine, but there shouldn't be audiences. It shouldn't be all this like
bells and
whistles and making a show out of it. And in Canada, it's even more frustrating because in the States, it's just 2 of these idiots arguing, whereas here it's like, at least the Liberals are going, the Conservatives are going, the NDP is going, the Green Party's going, the Bloc Québécois is going. What's the other fucking whack job far right dudes?
Independent something.
But do they get a seat at the table?
Oh, the People's Party?
Yes, the People's Party. They might. I don't know if they do. I can't remember from the last few times, but like
I remember hearing the name and I'm being like,
you have all. It's like it's amplified by like 2 or 3 times because it's not just 2 people. You have all of them arguing with each other, and it's just a giant shit show. So the thing with the long form thing that like, and you know, to the podcast thing, is, wow, we really made a mess of this table.
That's what I'm saying. There's this gross stain between us.
Somebody slurp it up. But so for example, it's like, well, we'll start with Joe Rogan because I am a fan of like him as a comedian, but I'm also a fan of his show. I don't watch it, like I said, religiously. It just depends kind of who's on, sort of thing. And I know people are like, oh, fucking, again, it's the same dumb shit where people, what are you doing?
Sorry.
It's the same dumb shit where people are either like, you know, Joe Rogan's the second coming of Christ, or it's Joe Rogan's a fucking Nazi. And it's like, I think he's just a dude who, like, you know, does a podcast and whatever.
He's a Nazi.
Like, he seems like, honestly, to me, he seems like a genuine, just a genuine guy who has genuine interest and is curious about stuff.
Curious about shit. And that's why I love the show, and I think why it's so successful. And to me, it's like his show, for example, and to what we're kind of speaking about, is what I love, because it's like I have watched episodes of his with people that I already liked, and then it's like, usually it's like, I like this person more. Like, I don't know, the Robert Downey Jr. or some musicians,
that was a great
for example,
one.
where it's
I
like,
never watched that one.
That one's hilarious.
Where it's like, this will be interesting, and then I watch it and it is. Or it's like comedians I already like, and I watch it and I'm like, you know, these comedians are like, I was already a fan of theirs, and it was a great couple hours watching them shoot the shit. And then there's times where I watch people who are like a little more controversial, or who I'm not like one way or the other. It's like, I don't know, like the Kanye West episode, where I'm like, all right, let's see what you've got, Kanye. And at the end of that being like, boy, you are either just like a sociopath, a liar, or some combination of the two, and you probably need like some sort of medical treatment. You know,
What if I told you he's my hero?
that would be totally fine.
Honestly,
Like, but
say
then
what-
there's other times where it's like, or like
He's not-
political people.
He is not my hero.
I mean,
Go on.
he's probably my favorite rapper, probably.
But it's like,
up
or
there.
political people where it's like having like somebody like Bernie Sanders on, who again is somebody I would not have known as much about. And then I watched that episode of Joe Rogan. I'm like,
Or Andrew Yang, I think he went on there.
Andrew
I was about
Yang
to
was
mention
another one
Andrew
where it's
Yang.
like
That's
when they
cool.
do all the UBI stuff where it's like, I had never really thought about this. And now it's a thing where I'm like, I don't know, he's making a lot of sense here kind of thing. And then there's other times where I watch things that sort of like reinforce or like, I don't know, like validate opinions where it's like when he's had on people like, you know, if he's had like Ben Shapiro in the past or what's the other fucking
Jordan
guy I can't
Peterson?
stand? No,
Steven Crowder.
yes, when he has like people like that on that I can't stand, and then I watch the episode and I'm like, yeah, I still can't stand you. And my attitude is like, I just gave you 3 hours of my time to sort of sway me the other way, and you didn't. And then there's times too where it's like I think to me one of the most interesting ones is I always think about the Tucker Carlson episode, the
I never
Fox
watched that
News
one.
guy. Who, well, now it's not at Fox News anymore.
Was it a-
Now
was
go
it a good
fucking do
episode?
so. I thought it was a good episode because to me, what was so frustrating about it was like I knew and had seen Tucker Carlson stuff for years, but like seeing him on that Joe Rogan episode, I was like, you know, he really doesn't sound like such a bad guy.
Seems like a normal
Like he
dude.
seems like kind of a normal guy. And then it was like thinking about that and being like, maybe I was wrong about somebody like this. And maybe when you give them a 3-hour sit down, you can get to like
That's why it's so
the
valuable.
core of people. And then I see him on Fox News just say more ridiculous shit. And I'm like, oh, okay. So now, in fact, what this has done is make me hate you more. Because now it's the thing of like, if you were just this crazy personality and that's just who you genuinely were, then it's like, okay, you're an asshole and I don't care. But when you prove to me that deep down, you're probably a normal, reasonable person,
But you're turning
but
it
you
on.
turn on the like the fear mongering and the like playing on people's concerns and all this shit and fucking they're replacing white people in America or immigrants or the gays and all this shit. And it's like, oh, okay, so now I hate you more because it is just an act and you
Also,
are
it's-
just like full of shit.
Also, at that point, it's like a deliberate plan it's like a plan of action. It's not just like you genuinely saying your opinion. It's like you're saying something that's manufactured to reach a goal. type
Yes,
thing.
and that to me is like, so that's an example I always think of too, where it's like, it like to me that episode of Joe Rogan's thing afforded somebody like Tucker Carlson that chance where it was like, I don't like you going into this, and I watched it at the end. I'm like, I still disagree with you on probably like 90% of things, but
I respect you more.
I respect you a little bit, and I don't doubt that you're like a normal person who, you know, just kind of wants what they think is best. But then I see the other shit, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, no, you're just a piece of shit
Also, I'm sure.
because it's all
Yeah.
horseshit. Not like the genuine thing I think is genuine, but it's the fact that it's like it's one thing to be a shitbag. I think it is even worse to pretend to be a shitbag for like the benefits of that.
I think it's like also. I wonder how complicated it is in terms of like how much he gets to decide what is on on the show because he has his own show, right?
Now he's sort of doing his own thing because he got fired from Fox. So I imagine he'll just start a fucking Patreon and make millions of dollars doing his own thing.
Because I wonder when he was like on his own show when he was on Fox News, like what percentage of what he was saying was like, what percentage of what he was saying was like Fox News being like, you have to hit these points, like our viewers want these points, and then he kind of manufactures stuff, turns it up a little bit, fear mongering, whatever, and how much of it is like genuinely him deciding that he's gonna play that part.
I don't know, man. I think it's mostly him because there was all the stuff before he got fired from Fox News
Okay.
about the stuff coming out where it's like Fox News was basically sued, and I think Tucker might have been specifically by I forget the fucking company, but like the company that owns the voting machines in the States,
Okay.
because they were doing all this shit of like it's rigged and the machines are rigged and it's all this thing, and they got sued.
For
and
the
then there was all
Biden
these
for the
like,
Biden election.
yeah, and then there was all these like transcripts and emails and texts and stuff coming out where Tucker Carlson and other Fox News people, they're all fucking guilty of it.
They
There'd
knew
be all
that it
these
was-
things where they're like, yeah, we know this is bullshit, but we're like pushing it because it like
Serves
boosts
our-
numbers and it boosts engagement and it makes us more money kind of thing. And there was some clip where like it was a Tucker Carlson thing where somebody else, I think at the network, had like not gone into the like rigged election stuff. Like they downplayed it more, like, reality of like, yeah, it's probably not the case.
Yeah.
And one of the like emails or texts or whatever was Tucker Carlson like losing his shit like to other executives or whatever and being like, we can't have her saying stuff on the air because it makes us look bad and it makes the show look
We gotta
bad.
be consistent.
And it's not a unified front, and it costs us money and all this shit. And it's like that to me, where it's the thing of like, somebody like Tucker Carlson is probably I could be wrong on this, but I would put forth a guess that Tucker Carlson is probably a normal, in quotes, conservative. Not one of these fucking QAnon,
He's not an
whatever,
extremist,
Trump worshipping assholes. I would venture a guess that he is probably again, normal conservative. Take that however you want. But the problem is, and what makes me despise him more, is the pretending to be and the playing up of the crazy shit for the benefits that affords, so to speak.
Yeah, to you, it's like more evil because it's so deliberate, as opposed to that's just who you are.
Like somebody who's just deranged is just deranged, and that doesn't excuse it. It's still bad, but it is what it is. But to me, it's like
purposefully playing with people,
playing up, pretending to be evil for the benefits that gives you. It's the same thing with like fucking Alex Jones when he's like, oh, the school shooting was like fake, and then he gets sued up the ass and whatever. And it's like,
that's crazy.
But then it's like you hear things where it's like, well, he probably doesn't really believe that, or he's just saying shit to drum up
that's his brand,
whatever marketing, or it's the brand, it's the show. Oh, it's like controversial, whatever.
But to me, that's
that's infinitely more evil to me.
To be quite frank, I think that's the norm in news today.
Sure. Don't get me wrong.
It's like trying to get headlines. And
it's
like
the same shit on the fucking liberal and CNN side. It's the exact same shit where, I would venture a guess most of the personalities on like a CNN or these other liberal outlets are probably normal, reasonable enough, left-leaning people.
But on air, it's...
But then on air, everything's, or it's just what they're talking about, or it's, Trump did this stupid thing today. It's like...
It seems to me like they probably have some sort of like quotas of like we have to make sure our audience like hears this talking point.
Yes.
Like get to it whichever way you need to, but like make sure it's clear and make sure it's like emphatic. Like we're really into this point.
Yes.
I don't, but
and it's
we're going down the rabbit hole
but
here,
to me that's why podcasting is so incredible, because of shows like Rogan and because of any long form show that you actually get to hear people's opinions on stuff, and it's like. You get to hear dissenting opinions, and like you said, like you gave a guy that you formerly you still are not a fan of, but you opened yourself up to it to the idea of like getting gaining a different perspective on him, and like potentially even agreeing with him on some points. So it's like that type of show is so important for society, I think, is like having a long show like that.
I think you're absolutely right. And what I was gonna say was, it's this game that these news outlets like to play. It's this game that they like to play. Hold on. What's the sentence I'm trying to get out right now? It's this game that they like to play that's dividing people.
Yes.
That's making it so that it's just keep going, that the political spectrum keeps getting more extreme and extreme and extreme.
They want to like get
and polarized and more polarized.
Yeah.
But the other thing too is they definitely contribute to that, which is why when people are like, I don't really trust the media, I'm like, I don't fucking blame you. I'm like, because I don't like them either, kind of thing. It's why even though I know like some people joke and even I joke, I like Philip DeFranco, but it's like when he's talking about YouTuber drama, it's like, okay, I don't give a shit about that. But when he gets into like real world issues and stuff, it's like, yeah, I trust somebody like him. Why? Because he's clearly left leaning. He makes no bones about that. But the show is always, here's the story, here's what's up. Now here's my thoughts on the story. Like they are treated as separate things, whereas in the news, like on Fox, it's either here's the news and here's exactly how you should feel, and how you should feel is also reality. And then on the left leaning side, it's the same shit. But the other problem is, it not only does it divide things. Again, what is so evil about all this is it makes it seem worse than it is. Because again, if you sit the vast majority of people down, it's kind of the thing where it's like the idea where it's like a person is smart, people are stupid. Like it's kind of like that idea where it's like if you just sat 90% of people down, left, right, center, whatever, they're all probably going to have like things they agree on, things they disagree on, whatever. There's common ground, there's other things, whatever. But it's like reasonable. And then you get the like 5% on either side, which is like your remaining 10% of the fucking whack jobs. And it's like that's what they play to, kind of thing. And then it just forces more people into that, or makes everybody think, oh, well, that's the way it's going. You're either a fucking neo-Nazi or you're a communist.
And I feel like if you are someone who watches that kind of news show and you listen to and believe half of the shit that they say, you're going to be like having in a panic attack all the time.
Yes.
Like if you believed everything that was you'd be like, everything's falling apart right now. and like, these people are the reason why it's happening. I can blame them, and it's like it's very easy, I feel like, for people to subscribe to a whole set of values. It's just like it's easy, but it's like, it's not the actual best way to get to some sort of truth,
Yeah, I don't know. It's incredibly frustrating, and it is the thing of like, it's just so much of it is just noise. But the problem is it works. It's loud. It gets heard, kind of thing.
It gets the views.
It
and
gets
the
the
watch
views
hours.
and the watch hours, and it's just it's to me it's comparative in the sense where people talk about like these oil tycoon assholes, where it's like everything they do is for the greed and to make more money, and they don't care how much it dooms the planet and dooms everybody and all the shit. And I always have the thought of like, don't you get that you doing this dooms you too? Like, you're not somehow exempt from this. And that's my thing with like the media stuff, where I'm like, I just wish both or either one of like, like more in the States than here necessarily, but that these like media outlets everywhere would just sort of wake up, where it's like, you benefiting from doing the bad thing leads to the bad thing happening, which still affects you. Like the fucking country going down the drain. Or, when people get all nuts and they're like, oh, if there's going to be a civil war, say there was. It's like a civil war you aren't somehow exempt from that, as like the media.
I guess they're banking on the fact that nothing legitimate's going to actually happen in the real world. And it's just like they're going to benefit off of the fear, but they're not going to have to deal with real world consequences, I guess.
I
is
don't
what they're
know,
thinking,
the math to me just doesn't.
It's going to come back to them.
It doesn't make any like logistical sense. And it's the same thing with the oil thing, where to me it's like if I was one of these oil tycoons and you sat me down and were like, you can do the bad shit, you can make all the money. I'm like, okay, so far sounds like a good deal, because apparently I have no conscience. You're fucked though. And it's like, ooh, I don't like that I don't like the outcome. The sum of that equation doesn't
but for
work.
a lot of people, it's like they're not going to be alive to deal with those consequences
That's what I was
anyway.
gonna say.
I
Like,
guess
probably,
that's the other
not going
thing.
to be in their lifetimes. What I
guess,
say.
but to me, then that's just such a like
No, it's not
comic book level evil
I
villain
know.
shit of like
It's not.
to be like, well, I'll be dead.
Yeah.
So if 8 billion people die on the planet, I'm already gone. So what do I care? I had my good ride. And it's like at that point, I'm like, you're just fucking Doctor Doom. Like there's no point in reasoning with you.
Also, some people just like selfishness is all that drives them, I guess. It's like material possessions and money and that sort of stuff. So I guess they really don't give a shit what happens to other people. Even people that are like in their family, it's like whatever I can do to help myself get to a higher position. And then, if they don't, especially if they don't believe in any sort of afterlife, or it's like everything's gonna happen in my life. I'm gonna get myself to the highest position possible, and then like whatever happens after that, that doesn't matter to me.
Right.
Which is again evil and gross, but
anyways, podcasts. Went all over the place here. I will just toss out, because we've gone long and I don't want to go too long here, but I will just mention towards the end, we kind of touched on the comedian stuff, so I'll let that go. But I am a big video game podcast person. That's like the majority of the podcasts I listen to. So to shout out a couple, there is Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast, which I think is one of, if not the best, video game podcasts. Period. Which is very good. They also, it's under this like company called Last Stand Media, and they also have like an Xbox show and a Nintendo show, which are both also very good. I just don't watch them as much because I'm not as into those worlds as I am the PlayStation stuff. Trying to think what else.
You're blanking.
I'm kind of blanking.
Okay, I can throw out some of mine.
Please, yes, you guys. Let's see here some of your PlayStation.
I'd say like
PlayStation.
All right, PlayStation
Let's
shows
hear some of
exclusive.
Let's hear some of your podcasts.
To me, it's like 50% of the podcasts I listen to are like comedy podcasts, and then 50% are MMA/UFC podcasts. So I'll name one of each. Like there's one called the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani. I love that show, and he has like a bunch of the big UFC fighters on. He interviews them, and what I like about him is that he's like very much supportive of the fighters, and like sticking up for the fighters and talking about fighter pay and how a lot of fighters in the UFC and all these other organizations are underpaid and all this stuff. So it's like I like his kind of message, and then I also like the fact that he seems very like genuinely interested in hearing what the fighters have to say about MMA and about the fights and about the world of MMA. So that show's probably my favorite. And then for comedy podcasts, I really like Your Mom's House, Tom Segura and Christina P. And I also really like Lifeline, Chris D'Elia and his brother Matt D'Elia. they kind of like give advice to people. People will throw in like video, like kind of like asking for advice from them, like videos asking for advice, and then they, in a funny way, give them advice about life and stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are the couple of ones I like, and then of course Rogan. Listen to Rogan.
For me, I actually don't engage with podcasts that much, and in the past year, not at all.
Interesting.
Yeah, when I did listen to podcasts, it was Joe Rogan.
Okay, that's fair.
And aside from that, whatever you guys would show me, we would watch episodes of Crystalia together, like his podcast, the Fight
Two
and
Bears.
the Kid.
Yep.
Two Bears. We watched a few of their stuff, but yeah, I don't really engage with podcasts. That
Bad
much.
Friends is a funny one.
I like Bad Friends a lot. Yeah, I was going to mention that one for a comedy one. Well, to wrap us up here then on this extra long, all over the place kind of topic, there is one other podcast that's like kind of newer, I guess you would say.
Is it Wildly Adequate?
It's Wildly Adequate, baby.
Yeah.
Fucking check us
Yeah.
out. Like, share, subscribe, rate the show, motherfuckers.
Wait, I can't
check
remember.
us out.
Do you? I do this every episode. Did you do that in the beginning?
In the beginning today, I did not. So this is
Oh.
my way of throwing it in right now. Like, share, subscribe, rate the show, or leave a review, say a nice comment. And if you say a mean comment, we will find you. Well, anyways, that topic went all over the fucking place. Mark, please, what is your topic for us to immediately derail?
So my topic is movie related, and I realize I've been doing a lot of movie related topics, but I think it's just because I really like movies. So I'm not going to be too upset about myself.
This is interesting. And
Is that
I
why?
wanted to bring up...
Is that why you're bringing up movie topics?
What do you mean?
Just because you really like them?
I love movies.
Oh,
I just
okay.
think about them all the time.
This is interesting, and it makes me think of groceries, and I kind of wanted to get into grocery shopping
Okay.
and things. No, I'm just derailing.
Oh,
Please
I
continue.
see.
Ah-ha-ha.
I was like, what's the connection here? So,
me hooked for a second.
so my topic is I want to discuss our favorite subgenres of movies. So I was talking to the guys before we started filming. An example of a subgenre would be like a slasher, which would be a subgenre of the main genre that is horror. And then another example would be like, under maybe the broad genre of drama, there's like, mob movies. I'd maybe say, for example, they're kind of like a subgenre under the main genre that is drama. So I can start if you guys would like, or if someone else wants to jump in first, I don't mind. But I have my subgenre picked, and then I also want you guys to like list a few movies in that subgenre, and like why you like them, and how they kind of are an example of that subgenre.
You want us
now-
picking one subgenre?
One subgenre, and maybe
shit.
you can pick multiple. You can like tier them if you'd like. I only have one pick that really stood out to me, and then I also want to hear at least 3 movies from each subgenre from the subgenre you've chosen.
Now,
Yeah.
I want to stay on topic, and I'm not doing this because Matty
Okay.
made the joke of derailing, but I just took a sip of my water, and I was like, God, that was so good.
Yeah,
A, we should do a topic on water. B,
Oh,
Yes.
God.
different water bottles.
that's right. I was gonna
Oh,
like
Dasani,
God.
Burke,
Fiji,
Fiji.
Kirkland,
Yes.
Nestle. Yeah, we got
Yes,
to do it all.
I'm-
And also, but here's the thing. We got to do that one when Matty's not here because he's going to say it tastes the same, tastes the same, tastes the
Yeah.
same.
Here's what I was
'Cause
about
he has
to
no
say,
palate.
But here's
Fair
the
enough.
thought I just had. I want to do, if we do a water topic someday, I want to get like, let's say 10 different bottled waters.
Brands.
I want to be the one to pour them into cups
Okay.
and give them to you two and Malcolm and not tell you which is which and have the 3 of you kind of like rank them.
Oh, so Matty
And
wants to know if
then-
we're bullshitting or not.
So
I
we
just
would
wanna-
give our ranks first before trying,
no,
and then after.
He
Like-
actually thinks that we are lying about we taste
Yeah.
different
This is,
things.
well, it's a 2-part thing.
The thing is,
it's partly-
Dasani, bro, it has a taste.
Okay, but
Actually-
what I'm saying is, it's partly that I think you guys are insane, but it's also a thing
Dude.
of I just want you. I want the 3 of you to basically like drink all 10 of them and rank them without knowing what they are, and then at the end we go through each of your lists, because then I want you guys to be like absolutely dismayed when you put fucking like Nestle or something like number 1
You're starting
and
to-
Berg at like 8, and you're like, but I normally like Berg and I hate Nestle normally. Like I just
Matthew.
I want you guys to be
Matthew.
mindful.
Matthew, that idea is very good Mythical Morning-esque, if I may
Yes.
say so.
Also,
Yeah.
And I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm going to say, though. I've never argued, I have in a joking way, that there are certain water flavors that are like way better than others, right?
I haven't
They're-
done that in a joking way.
No, wait. Okay, I'm going to rephrase. When we talked about Berg,
Mhm.
the brand
Berg
called
was
Berg,
crazy.
it is really good. No, but here's the thing, though. If you gave me Berg and you gave me Nestle, I might be able to identify that Berg is a little bit more unique. but it would be hard for me to say that it's way better.
Yeah.
That being said, there are distinct flavors, and something like Dasani or Aquafina are wildly different than many of the other basic water bottles.
Yes.
And that I am confident that I'd be able to identify.
And that the majority of people think that too.
That's right.
He's the odd one out with regards to Dasani.
So I'm just saying, so it doesn't have to be next week, but at some week we're going to do this topic.
Let's do it next week.
Let's do it in the fall.
Whose topic do we make it?
I'll do it as mine if you'd like.
Sure. So
okay.
Mark can do water the topic,
Okay.
but I'm just saying, because yes, if we do it,
it should be your topic because you want to organize it. It should be your topic.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, we can do it as mine. Just because I like the idea. Because Mark's right. If we do it where I'm the one sitting here drinking the waters, I'm gonna be like, and this tastes the same, and this tastes the same, and this tastes the same. But I kind of want to do it with you three who like have delineations, so that A, I can hopefully mind fuck you, and B, maybe change your stupid
Dude, you know
stupid ways. But anyways,
look. So this is my list. No one can see this, but just for you guys, this is my list of podcast topics. Look all the way here.
I thought you were about to show us a list of your favorite water.
Wait.
You're a madman.
Wait.
he ranks them.
Look how high up it is.
Water bottle brands.
I had it as an idea like months ago. I wrote it down
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, this is good. At some point, we're doing
Matthew's
water
stealing
bottles.
that.
The topic.
there. No, do it. I mean, I didn't have the idea of bringing them in and like testing.
Yeah.
Like Matty can do that.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Anyway.
shit. It's not, anyways, movie subgenres.
I'm gonna start then for the movie subgenres. There's one subgenre that pops out the most to me and that I love more than any other subgenre, and I've titled it as investigative thrillers.
Now, are they called investigative thrillers? Because
No, I'm subjectively
Matthew did this thing.
Yeah.
Last episode where he was like, we were talking about the comic books,
Okay.
and then we were onto yours, and he was like, now onto one I like to call low. It's like, no, it's called low, not that you like to call low.
I don't think there's.
I don't know why I got so angry.
I don't know.
I don't think
Pretty
there's.
uppity.
I don't think they're called investigative thrillers necessarily. I'm just defining them as that. But I'll give you examples and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Please.
So my favorite subgenre is investigative thrillers. So typically they're very intense, dramatic. It involves an unraveling of some sort of mystery. So I have a couple of examples here. Zodiac, The Batman,
The Batman,
the new one, Prisoners,
Mm.
investigative, unraveling things, and Spotlight, which I don't know if you've seen.
Not yet.
So far, 2 of those 4 movies have been my picks on the wheel.
Wow.
So
Interesting.
I think that
Yeah.
says something about my taste.
And so I have 5. Spotlight is about the Boston Globe newspaper, which uncovered the pedophile ring in like the Roman Catholic Church.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Well, I
know
know
about the priests or
not
movie?
the priest, the movie.
Essentially, they were like, a priest would commit some sort of crime, would molest a child or
Diddling
something,
kids.
and then they would move them to a different location, and they'd like keep cycling them
priest?
through.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then,
Kid.
dude, we're gonna watch the movie. I'm gonna put it on the list.
And then they diddled more kids.
Dude, at the end of the movie, I'm not gonna spoil it, but they discovered an alarming number of priests that had done that sort of stuff within Boston alone.
diddled.
Anyway, and then I also put Ex Machina. Ex Machina is kind of a sci-fi movie generally, but to me the subgenre is a movie that's like, you're slowly uncovering some secrets and some crazy shit that's
Can
going
you say
on.
the name of the subgenre again?
I just put it as investigative thrillers.
Mm.
And a movie like that I haven't seen yet, but I'm planning on watching, and that would probably fit into that, is something like Seven. Is it like a kind of murder mystery investigative thriller type thing? So yeah, those are a couple examples of movies that are investigative thrillers, and they're my favorite. They're so intense. I like slowly figuring shit out with characters. I like following their journey. Like in Prisoners, I like following Detective Loki's journey and him trying to figure out who took the girls and where they are, and I kind of like that immersion of it. So yeah, if you guys have any, I don't know who wants to go next, but
I've got hair in my eyes I'm trying to get rid of. Patrick, what are you doing?
Going backwards.
Patrick's about to get real cool. Are you going next, Patrick?
Sick,
Am I
dude.
going next? What's happening? So I didn't, because you mentioned this earlier, and I didn't know you wanted us to narrow in on one subgenre. So I have a few that I'll kind of rattle off. The first one is, most of mine, I think, are more like horror sci-fi stuff. But I'm a big fan of monster movies and like creature features kind of thing. Obviously, Godzilla, which I mentioned in the cold open. Like, I am just a fan of that type of shit.
Is he in frame or no?
Who?
Godzilla.
He is now
Yup. We need,
the G-Man.
once we figure out the table, we need like a centerpiece for the table or like something on the
Yeah,
table.
we can figure something like that
Yeah.
out. But
As long as it doesn't block us,
Yeah.
I am a big Godzilla fan, so like I am a fan of, I've seen all of his shit. What a career. I also like
very talented person,
leading
actor.
man,
what a
very
great
talented
leading man
being.
Mm-hmm. But and then other stuff like King Kong's a lot of fun. I haven't seen the second one, but like Pacific Rim because it's just giant robots.
I can't wait for Kong versus. Did that come out already? Oh my god!
Godzilla versus Kong.
Godzilla versus Kong.
Yes, we watched that one, but the sequel is March.
Wait, we watched it at Matty's house.
Yeah,
am I crazy?
We watched it at Matty's house. Remember?
Where
and
they
fight,
and then they both fight Mechagodzilla at the end.
I didn't watch that.
I watched it at Matty's house. Honestly, I think it might have just been.
Was it just you, me, Malcolm, and Merrick?
Yes.
Oh, you might not have been there that day.
Was it summer? Was I in Egypt?
Yes.
No, it would have been like March-ish.
Really?
Yeah, because the Godzilla vs. Kong was like early. Oh my god, he's about to eat the mic.
Holy shit, he's eating the mic.
Holy shit. But yeah, so like just stuff like that and like other monster movies, not less in like a, giant way, but stuff like Frankenstein or, just like I'm just a fan of like
you don't like that
big
shit.
monsters and like that kind of shit. So monster movies and features for sure.
I will throw in a movie in supporting your pick. The Thing is probably a creature movie.
Yeah,
I'd
it's
say
kind of
maybe.
like in there probably. And then
No, you don't think so. You don't agree with Mark.
it all kind of blends
But
together.
you know what the
so it's like,
but to me, I think The Thing is a horror movie.
But you
That's-
never
that's
see the thing.
No, but listen. Yeah, but to me, it's like The Thing is the creature that drives the movie.
Yeah.
To me, and so it's like, even though the main genre is horror, the subgenre is creature feature. Or is that
But there's no creature in the thing.
when I think creature feature, I guess I am thinking more of like
classic
a
like
Godzilla,
What about
a King
Alien?
Kong, a giant robot,
Alien?
or like anything. Like to me,
That's
the
a
thing,
creature feature.
the Thing and Alien are more.
No, it's not.
No.
You're right.
Or like when I think creature feature too, it's like the Blob or like Creature from the Black Lagoon. Like it's more like the old school like kind of Universal monsters or like big things crushing cities. Whereas like Alien, Predator, The Thing, like that's just more like sci-fi horror to me. But anyways, speaking of horror and sci-fi, there are some subgenres I am a fan of. I like slashers, like the goofy, just, cheesy B-movie kind of things. Like I like, some of the Friday the 13th. I like the Halloweens, the, Nightmare on Elm Street, and some of that stuff is a lot of fun as we have the posters up. I am not a fan of like found footage horror. I find that is a genre that it's tougher for me to get in. I think something like Blair Witch Project is really cool.
Okay.
And like if you were somebody in the 90s when that came out watching it and like the brilliant marketing campaign of like driving on the highway and seeing like a billboard of like these 3 adults or teenagers or whatever like are missing, like if you see them please call this number. Like the way they tried to like sell it as like no, this is real shit kind of thing. Like all that's really cool and brilliant, but it's like by the time you get to the early or like mid 2000s and it's like
Paranormal
Activity, I'm like, I just don't give a shit. Like this isn't that scary. I get it's almost like, I think we talked about this forever ago with like something horror related where I brought up the idea of like analog horror and like
I think it's Malcolm's topic, horror
the back rooms
No?
stuff.
Oh, Analog, that was so long ago. It was in your basement when we talked about that.
Yeah,
Like,
that was
what
like
was the
forever
topic?
ago.
I
can't
can't remember.
But like just the idea of like something like the back rooms or like the Mandela catalog and like how we've seen those Instagram videos where it's like, the people with like the fucked up faces.
I think the topic was just horror.
Probably.
And then this topic recently was horror movies.
Yeah.
Probably
I'm
something
going
like
to jump
that.
in here.
Please.
Yeah, do it.
So these types of movies are not always the best and are often corny,
Oh.
but I like the subgenre I'm going to pick is like buddy movies.
Buddy cop? Or just
but
buddy
not
movie?
necessarily cop, like
But like a buddy movie, yeah.
buddy movie, like
Rush Hour.
So Rush Hour, 21 Jump Street. What's
Central
the one?
Intelligence is with Kevin Hart and Rock. I've never seen that one.
I've never seen Central Intelligence. There's one with Ice Cube, I want to say.
Ice Cube. Ice Cube's in 21 Jump Street, and he's in 22 as well, I think.
There's
There's one with Ice Cube and Chris Tucker, I think. Are you talking about Friday? There's
No.
Friday, and there's like
aside from that, there's Bad Boys.
Bad
Yeah.
Boys is Will Smith
Yeah,
and
Will
Martin
Smith
Lawrence.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop trying to think of other examples, but yeah, those movies.
Like that's one
Those
of your
are
favorite subgenres.
One of my. I mean, I'm having a hard time thinking of subgenres, so you're gonna have to throw me a bone.
You could
here,
you could even throw out movies and we can try to encapsulate them together. Like kind of like kinds of movies that you
but
really
of like what subgenre they are.
Because to me, I kind of started from like Milady and I watched Spotlight last night and we loved it. And then I was
say that again.
Milady.
I like how you knew what I wanted you to
Yeah.
repeat.
Yeah, so
What
like,
did you guys watch?
Spotlight, which
Okay.
is one about the Boston and the
The
priests.
diddling.
So
The diddling.
that one was really, really good. And then I was thinking like, man, I love these types of movies. And then I started thinking about Zodiac and how amazing Zodiac is.
Mhm.
That movie is very long too, but I remember every time I watch it, I'm just like invested in every single beat. And I think the progression of it is why I'm so into them. It's because it's like there's a step-by-step progression of you learn more information, you piece the puzzle more. Patrick was yawning quite large. So yeah, it's like I like piecing things together with the protagonist or with the side characters and stuff. So I was just thinking, you don't really have to think about it from top down. You can think of like your favorite movies and if some of them fit a certain subgenre.
I've got more if you're still thinking.
Do it, Matty.
Of course, you have more. Go on. Steal the spotlight from me.
Steal it. The other thing I was gonna say specifically, and this kind of is horror adjacent in a sense, and we'll get into sci-fi.
Still
is
horror?
I love the shit out of sci-fi, as I've said before on the show, and like
Not
the
a
different-
subgenre though.
Well, but the different branches of it. So like
Okay.
to me, like cyberpunk, Blade Runner is kind of like a big
What is
thing,
that?
or like Ghost in the Shell.
But the problem is if you had
Like
What
cyberpunk.
subgenre is that?
but the problem if I
Cyberpunk?
no, but the problem if
Oh.
I told you is cyberpunk one of your favorites, like list some movies from the cyberpunk genre, you'd only be able to list like a couple.
It's not like necessarily that broad, but it's still a thing I'm a fan of. Like I love Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049. Like I
Could it be a thing of like it also existing in video games, like cyberpunk?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like
vibes in video
Cyberpunk,
games?
the video game 2077. I haven't played yet, but like I know that's totally up my alley. Something like Ghost in the Shell is like that anime is
Also,
like way up my alley.
Cyberpunk also, it sounds like the Far Cry 3.
Blood Dragon.
Blood
thing.
Dragon.
You know, I was
Yes.
thinking when I was on my way here, I was thinking like of certain video games that fit my investigative genre, where it's like a game like The Wolf Among Us.
Mhm.
It's like a point and click story game where you pick your dialogue and you kind of like shape your own story and your own ending and stuff. And it's like it's a really cool play on like fairy tales, where it's like you play as the big bad wolf, but he's like the cop, like the main cop of like the city, and then Snow White plays like the mayor of the city. And so it's kind of like they take the fairy tale characters and they make it like modern day New York City, and you're basically playing as Big B Wolf, who's the big bad wolf, and you go through like a murder mystery. And so
that sounds cool.
that's
I
one of my
think
favorite.
You would like Heavy Rain a lot.
I think so
The
too.
problem is time, because it's like a 2008
really old
or
game.
whatever game. Like time has not been super kind to it. But if you can kind of look past like the not ideal graphics, although for
Would you be able to?
I'd be able to.
If you
I've
can
played
look past
You,
some of
you
the,
didn't-
like-
you weren't able to for Batman Arkham.
I wasn't,
Arkham
but
Asylum.
not for the reason of the graphics. To me, Batman Arkham, like in terms of like the gameplay of it, like the technicality of it, it was just like it felt too dated to me. But a game that's more investigative, I'm more in it for the story.
because
Okay.
Heavy Rain, like the entire
Whereas
premise
Batman
of the
was like-
game is Heavy Rain's like a murder mystery. Like
Yes.
there's this origami killer, they call him, because there's like a piece
That's the
of
poster.
origami.
That's the poster. It's just the
Yeah,
origami.
like every crime scene they go and you play as it's like Detroit Become Human. Their other
Another.
game,
I love that game.
where like it flips between multiple characters because you
Isn't
play
that
as
Remedy?
like the dad. Quantic Dream.
Quantic Dream. What's
'Cause
Remedy?
You play it. Remedy's like
Control?
Control and Alan Wake.
That's
and that
also
shit.
another one that I'd like to try.
Yes, yeah, Control's dope too. But like you play as I think the dad of the kid who gets taken or whatever, a private investigator, like an FBI guy, and then I want to say the lady in it. I forget if she's like a journalist or something. But you're just flipping between the four characters, and it is like a murder mystery, unraveling the thing. So I think you might like Heavy Rain.
But yeah, but to your point, it's like I feel like you can stretch it past movies and just like general like video games, shows even. Like I think about a show like Mindhunter, one of my favorite shows ever, a Netflix original.
It's
Criminally,
also investigative, right?
yes, it's
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it's
I
about
watched it. Oh yeah.
yeah, it's about how it's like about them, the FBI starting up their criminals like
And
psychological
profiling
psychological division.
sex criminals.
There you go, connections. So that's like one of my favorite shows, and it fits into that theme. So like through and through, I'm a really big fan of like investigative thrillers.
What are you doing, Matt? Tell the camera what you're doing, Matt. You can't
Sorry,
do
I'm
two
just
things
pulling
at once,
something
Matt.
up here. What was I gonna say? The other. Let's mute the fuck out of that.
You're recommending a game for me?
So the other thing I was going to get into, science fiction wise and sort of horror wise, is I am also a fan of.
Full screen it.
I enjoy like cosmic horror and cosmic sci-fi, and I'm not talking like outer space, like Alien specifically, but I'm saying like cosmic usually gets applied to like Cthulhu and the sort of like that sort of like crazy shit of like this shit you can't even like comprehend. And I think of a movie like Annihilation, which I think we should watch at some point, which is the Natalie Portman one. It's Natalie Portman and Oscar Isaac.
Holy shit, is that the one directed by Alex Garland?
It might be.
He's the guy who did Ex Machina.
I think, yeah, it's his movie.
I've never seen that movie.
It's really cool because it's like, again, very like weird, again, cosmic sci-fi where like the entire point of the movie is I think like a meteor or something hits the Earth. Well, actually, here, I'll pause this because we'll get to this in a second. But like a meteor or something hits the Earth and it kind of makes this like bubble on like whatever beach or whatever it lands on, and it just starts expanding like more and more and more kind of thing. And it's like this team of scientists that are trying to figure out what it is and why it's expanding, but also what's happening inside. Because I think at one point the idea is they sent in like a military team.
No one came back.
That like nobody came back from. So it's Natalie Portman and these other scientists basically get sent in to try and figure out what the hell's going on.
That's cool.
And if they can like stop it from expanding because it's just going to like consume everything. And it gets, not to spoil things, but it gets into very like weird out there, like almost god level kind of like just the crazy cosmic shit. And the other thing I was thinking of is this game called Observation, which I will let play for a second here. Where
is it like Five Nights at Freddy's?
It is not. The entire idea of this game is it's about a woman on a space station, and I think there were other people with her who are all like, there she goes, who are all like missing or like have vanished or whatever. And I think the ship's kind of a little broken up too.
Whoa, are you playing as the cameras?
The idea of the game is you are the ship's AI.
Oh.
So the whole game, you're basically playing through like the security cameras and like the blueprints and like schematics and like the hatch control right there. How like you as the AI like tap into the hatch, which opens it for her kind of thing to maneuver through the ship. So it's a very like neat game, and it's not necessarily horror, although it definitely like toes that line a little, but it is like this kind of sci-fi where like, again, without spoiling things, but the ending gets into like, you know, not the idea that it's like aliens necessarily, but it's more the idea that it's like it's gods or like these intergalactic, interdimensional, whatever the fuck beings,
cosmic beings,
and cosmic beings and entities and shit like that. So cosmic sci-fi / horror.
Okay, well now we're just
definitely
making up. Now we're just making up.
Patrick, you want to jump in? You haven't said any other than actually no, you want to add another
buddy. I've said buddy, but yeah, I'm having a hard time coming up with subgenres. I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, you told me in the beginning to think about it, and I tried thinking about it, and it was like, you know what I mean?
I mean,
like I was gonna say some. I was gonna say like superhero.
That is a subgenre.
Like it's
of like
it's
action
a subgenre.
movies.
Huh?
Of like action movies, but we also like mob stuff for like crime movies.
I guess
like
I don't know
Goodfellas and
right.
what do you call it? Casino and all that kind of shit. Like that all falls under like crime movies and dramas. Yeah, and Irishman and all that stuff.
To me, alien movies about aliens are a subgenre. To me, it's like a subgenre. It's a subgenre under sci-fi.
Yeah.
So to me, I'd list a movie. The original Alien, love. Arrival, love. Like those are just a couple that are on my top 10 list or whatever of movies that I really love. And
well, yeah, mob movies obviously are. I guess I didn't bring it up because you brought it up as an example.
I have another good one as well.
Yeah.
I'll throw this out, and I'm sure some of you guys will like this one. War movies.
Yes.
So we're talking like Fury, Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah.
We're talking 1917.
Saving Private Ryan.
Saving Private Ryan. Dunkirk.
Shaving Ryan's Privates.
1912.
1917.
1917. 1912. Titanic.
1812. No, it was 1912. I lied.
Yeah.
That's the question I won on. I should know
That's
that.
That's the one you want.
And a movie, even like a movie like World War II movies could be even more subgenre, like more specific.
Yeah.
Like a movie like The Pianist to me, The Pianist.
The penis.
The penis.
Yeah,
The
and then you
Pianist.
get into like Vietnam movies too.
Sure.
Where it's like Platoon and
Apocalypse
Now and all that kind of shit. Where it's like that's
war movies are pretty
that's
dope,
a whole thing unto itself. The other thing I was going to think of, what the hell was I going to say?
I feel dirty saying that.
What?
I said war movies are pretty dope.
I'm
gonna retract that.
Patrick likes war.
No.
Sports movies are another one that I'm not like the biggest, but like there are certain sports movies to me that are great. Like
what?
Moneyball's really good.
Like what?
And my dad
Isn't Moneyball not a sports movie?
It's baseball.
It's baseball.
Oh, is it baseball?
Rocky.
Every single time Moneyball is on, my dad is watching it. Rocky obviously for like boxing.
That doesn't count.
Why not?
Rocky doesn't count.
A sport movie? It's about sports. It's about boxing.
Yeah, but boxing
toes the line.
Boxing is one of those sports where it's like violence, bro. It's
a sport.
It plays
fool.
into it play.
It's a sport.
But it's not like the other sports though. It's not like any other sport.
Hockey,
it's really special.
a lot of people get beat up, and I don't know.
In my opinion, at least.
I have another one.
What was I gonna say? Remember the Titans?
The Mighty Ducks.
I'm not. I know Mighty Ducks is kind of beloved, but I'm
Space
not.
Jam.
Sure. Shout out Space Jam.
Another one.
Ultimate sports movie.
I don't know if this is too vague. Another one to me could be movies that center around, like, they're very conversational. Like, they're very, like, it's dialogue forward. It's, like, all about conversations between people. Something like Pulp Fiction. It's, like, very, I don't know if that would count.
I don't know if what you're saying is necessarily like a subgenre,
Probably not.
but I get what you're driving.
What
at.
about musicals?
Subgenre, yeah.
Sure.
And you guys like musicals?
Not really.
I'm
The only musical I've
infinitely
enjoyed is
more
Ooh La
picky.
La. Ooh La La.
La La
La La
Land. Oh, no, dude.
Ooh La La. Goodness gracious.
I loved Ooh La La. I was like, which one?
loved Ooh
I was
La La.
like, Ooh La La. I've never heard of
As
Ooh La
soon
La.
as he said Ooh La La, I was like, he's talking
He's
about
talking
La
about
La
La La
Land. Motherfucker.
Ooh La La. Bro, even if I watched La La Land and the same movie that I watched and loved, but it was called Ooh La La, I'd hate it.
Yeah, I think I might like it a little less. That's insanity.
Also,
What was I gonna say? With musicals, I'm not like the biggest musical guy. Like I don't have an affinity for a lot of the like classic Disney stuff or whatever. But the right musical gets me. Like I love Phantom
Like
of the
La La
Opera.
Land.
I love La La Land. I love Nightmare Before Christmas.
oh yeah, love
Like,
that one. Oh,
those
another,
ones.
another subgenre, stop motion animation.
Stop motion.
Sure,
I
that's
put
another big one.
Fantastic Mr. Fox, Isle of Dogs,
Coraline.
Coraline Paranorman, those kinds of movies. Monster House, which I watched recently.
Yeah.
Love Monster House.
Monster House CG or
Oh shit, it's
stop
not
motion?
stop motion. It's not. It looks like it, but it's not for a second.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess, yeah, the best subgenre is, you're right, mob movies.
It's up there. I mean, you got movies like Goodfellas, you got Casino. I don't know.
Godfather.
Yeah, Godfather. I don't even
The
know. I
Godfather.
don't think you throw Wolf of Wall Street in there now, but like,
Not
yeah,
necessarily.
No.
But like
Yeah.
The Departed 2 you would toss in there.
yeah.
The other thing I thought of just now off the top of my head is adult animation.
There you
Like
go.
as genre under animation. It's
This relates to a
more in like
topic I'm going to have next week.
Oh, okay, good. More in like a TV sense where it's like I love The Simpsons, Futurama, Archer, Rick and Morty, like on and on and on kind of thing. But then also how we've talked about for sure with animation before, like my affinity for
Mature.
animation movies and stuff that are for more mature audiences. Like, I mean, on the anime side, you know, there's a million examples, but just off the top of my head, again, your Ghost in the Shells or like
Chainsaw Man.
Akira or something.
Talking about a
Chainsaw
movie?
Man. That like I was
Princess?
thinking more in my Princess Mononoke. Like Princess Mononoke is not. I guess the violence and stuff makes it a little bit more adult, but like minus that, it's still relatively approachable. But I guess a lot of Ghibli stuff, just like how serious it's taken, and even something like My Neighbor Totoro, which is a
And
kids
abstract.
movie in quotes. Yeah, like it's still there's more to it, you know, different from like I don't know a Pixar movie or something where it's like it's a kids movie, but adults get something out of it. But like I find Totoro, for example, different.
It's more kid forward.
Yeah, but then there's other things where it's like we talked about 9 not long ago.
Oh, dude,
which
I
again,
love 9.
I get that 9 was marketed like to kids, but to me that movie's like scary as shit and
Yeah.
violent and really dark and like
It's
works as an adult thing.
I kind of see Nightmare Before Christmas kind of in the same vein of it's really creepy and has a lot of like terrifying imagery, like super scary screams and sounds, and like it's a little bit more towards kids. It's like it's still to me toes the line of being both.
I think what helps with Nightmare Before Christmas is that it's a musical and B like it is treated like it's still like it's horrifying things if you really sat and thought about it, but it's treated in like a Disney whimsical kind of way, especially when it involves like we're going to Christmas Town and whatever. Whereas like something like 9 is like
Or Coraline.
humanity has died. These 9 pieces of this guy's soul are all that's left, and they need to save the world. This terrifying robot is building even more terrifying robots to fucking kill them. Like it's way more like holy shit, dude. Like this is for how old?
That movie is so unique and underrated. I don't know why no one
Yes.
talks about it anymore.
This is what I've mentioned in my animation topic before, where it's like I wish.
We should watch 9 and have
we should watch 9, and we should also do a topic about most underrated movies of all time.
There's another one. Yeah, I wish 9. I wish we got more movies like 9, where
Yes.
it's like, hey, it's animated. Even if you want to do it like 9, where it was kind of marketed to kids, like do that, whatever you want. I don't care,
Just
but
make
it's
'em.
like give me more of that.
Well, listen,
Please.
this has been a fun topic, and I appreciate you guys participating.
How do you know I wasn't going to...
Because I don't know.
No, I'm kidding.
He was
I'm
taking-
tugging you.
He was
your
taking
mic.
you out
Yeah.
whether you wanted to
I
or
mean,
not.
I'd like for if anyone's listening to this topic and wants to leave a comment on their favorite subgenre, please do that. Maybe list a couple of examples, and then also maybe let us know whose subgenre you like the best. Even though we didn't really narrow it down to one per person.
Pick one per person.
But yeah. we'll
Okay,
see
I'll
it.
pick mob.
And then I'm going the investigative thrillers.
No, I don't want. I don't like that.
We don't have to do that.
Mafia movies.
Mafia movies.
That's
Okay.
it.
And Matty, what's your if you had to pick one?
I'll go adult animation.
Adult
We
animation. There
just
you go.
mentioned that, so there you go.
Cool.
The recency bias prevails.
Whoa! I was about to say that, but you beat me to the punch.
What can I say? I'm a smart,
You're a
well-read
psych
man.
major.
Yeah, that's what they tell me. Well, anyways, thank
Okay.
you, fellas,
Merci.
and thank you, the audience.
Oh shit, we're done, huh?
Unless, well, we'll go.
We would have had one more topic, but
We're
But-
down to Malcolm. No, we'll go around the horn because I want to start doing that at the end of the show too. So, anyways, thank you once again for tuning in to Wildly Adequate. This has been your episode for this week. What was I going to say? Please like, share, subscribe. There we go. We got Mark in too. Like, share, subscribe, review the show, rate the show, but only if you're going to do it positively. If you're going to do it negatively, don't do that.
Don't want to hear it.
We don't want to hear it. We don't care, to be quite frank with you. Hopefully next week we will have all four of us again, but we'll see what happens. Anyways, before we go, is there anything you would like to add, Patrick?
Why are you singling him out?
yeah, why'd you do that?
Because I'm going to go to you and then Mark.
Go to Mark
Oh.
first.
Mark, is there anything you'd like to add as we close out the show?
I'd like to add that even though I've been doing a lot of topics about movies, I'm going to continue doing so because I love them so much. And even next week, I have like a semi-movie related
So
thing.
he's doubling down. Patrick, anything
I am.
else?
Come.
Very good.
I can't follow that up. That's the episode. That's the show. There you go.